Greetings, all you wild and weirdos and weirdettes out there in wild and weird radio land and everywhere else that's, I guess, the signal's going off to. Apparently, it's been beamed in different wavelengths out to multiple dimensions, and we're going to be talking about that tonight. But first of all, Joseph, why don't you introduce everybody that's out there in the audience? Because, boy, we're starting to get a full house
I
already.
know.
Makes me
Straight out
happy.
of the gate, we've
Makes me
got
happy.
L.W. Marshall in the house. And he's
What?
one of our super chatters and is part of
Man.
the executive producer chat level, hanging out here with Wild
Thank you,
Weird Radio.
LW.
We've got Cryptid, Critters, and Paranormal. That, of course,
That's
is
Dewey.
the legendary Deuster. He is, you guys need to go check out his new book, by the way. I am ordering my copy. So I got payday coming up tomorrow, and I'm going to order that and another book, and that's going to do me as far as expenses go this week. We've got Teresa of Teresa's Haunted History of the Tri-State hanging out with us. What is going on? Good to have you here with us. Then Fish Belly, what's going on? We've been chatting with you over on the business page there for a little bit. He's got some interesting stuff that happened in the past there. Eyes in the Woods is back in the house. Larry Hose, what's going on, brother? Another executive producer level member there. Hanging out. Julie Bug in the house. What's going on, Julie Bug?
Let's
You
get 'em
are
shared
on
out.
time tonight. You were actually a little early.
Let's
Nikki
get the
Bennett,
show.
what's going on?
Let's get the show shared out. I'm trying to get a hold of some of our no shows right now.
The Fob Daddy is in the
Ike's
house.
here. He just made it.
Ike Fauber, what's going on? Ada Cox, what's up? LW says, I'm not sure if I'm wild or weird, possibly both. We're going to go ahead and lean towards both, man.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Nancy White. Then, hey, Jimbo, what's going on? Down there from spooky Appalachia in southwestern Virginia. Then you've got, let's see who else. Oh, Tommy Swigger's in the house. What's going on, Tommy?
Is Adam here?
Del Ty, what's up, Del? Lisa Beard, how you doing? Then Nancy White coming in hot, starting off the show.
I tell you what, LW actually is going to get a very special one because you guys don't know this, but our computer's down, and I'm rendering on a machine right now that's been run by a couple of hamsters in a wheel. That's
Yeah.
chasing a kernel of food. But I did manage to make this for you guys because you're awesome and we care. And it doesn't matter if it took longer than it should have. But
So did it run Windows XP originally?
no. It's
not
a little
that
better,
old?
little better than that. But it's got us through many years, and it's continuing to get us through. Thank goodness it's still here. So very grateful for that. But it also can provide us with a rain of sky.
Hallelujah, it's raining Sky Daddies.
Thank you, LW. That
Oh,
was
we
for
got
you.
another one. We got another.
Things that happened there was obviously you heard no audio on the Reign of Sky Daddies yet. When we get the main machine back, we'll have audio on that too. But we can't do audio on it, which was a great, just an amazing thing happened this week. We did our podcast. We recorded Tuesday as we usually do, and the only prerequisite was we could not mess up because there would be no editing.
Had to be one cut. There was no editing.
These guys are professionals. That's all I'm going to say about that. We managed to go through an entire episode without any mess ups, and it worked perfect. And you'll get to see that tomorrow. A really good episode. We'll talk about that later. But right now, let's get everybody in here. And like I said, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe now. And if you haven't already done so, get that link up there and share it out. Share it out to your friends on your wall.
Let your friends know. It's
Because
something easy.
It's important
and free on your end
yeah.
that you can do for us that helps us out tremendously. Larry Potter's in the house. Octopus with at least a house full of friends tonight.
That's right.
How you doing?
And if you can't watch it, just go in and at least give us a like because that helps a lot too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that boosts out a lot.
Definitely.
Donna Ho, what's going on, Donna?
You definitely
And I
want to
think
get
that has us caught up with at least who I was in the chat, but I know there's a lot more you guys watching because
yeah, there is.
there's
Yeah, there
31,
is.
32, 33
come on
hanging
in.
out in
Don't
the
be
chat
shy.
right now
Don't-
watching, but you're not
don't-
talking to us. If you're watching this and you haven't commented, just drop a comment. We will shout you out. We love having everybody on.
Yeah, don't be shy. You're welcome
It's
here.
great having everybody here with us. Oh, Beth Duncan showed up. What's going
Beth's
on,
here.
Beth?
Oh,
Beth's here. We'll talk a little bit about some of that later too. Yeah, guys, if you haven't said hey, say hey. I mean, for real, this is not your typical podcast. Trust me. This is a
Hey,
really
Jen, what's going on?
look at there. There's a
Heyo.
Clower. Hey, Clower. So
Jamie's here. Hey, Jamie. So I have a question for you. Were you as excited yesterday as I was with the Slimer image? Because I know that like I about did a cartwheel.
oh
is that
yeah,
from the
I
new
saw that.
movie?
Yeah. Lisa Beard, Adam like Beetlejuice play.
What's amazing is we have these new people who are like, what in the world are we seeing?
Yeah.
So new people, let me explain to you what you're seeing. Like I said, this is not your typical podcast. We can be serious and we can be, funny at the same time. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to give you, would you put the knife away, Brandon?
I
Put the
forgot to
knife
bring
away,
a spoon downstairs with me, so I'm just going to use a sculpting tool to stir my
Actually,
tea. I'm sure that's
Brandon,
healthy, right?
what brand is that? Honestly, seriously.
What brand am I doing right now?
No, what brand is the knife that he's got there? What is that? That's a nice.
Oh, this?
That's really nice.
This is a sculpting tool that I got from.
Not you, Brandon. Don't you see him with the big?
Oh no!
giant
I thought
blade?
you were talking about that. I didn't see a knife. Are you
No,
trying to
he's-
stab people again, Brandon?
Yes, he's doing the stabby thing
Oh
again.
yeah.
Now, what is that, Brandon? For real?
I think it's a machete because it's got this saw
That's-
blade on the end of it.
I like the anodize on that.
I
That's
think
nice.
that's that Calamath, right? Or however you say it from Walmart.
That's really nice.
Is that the
Yeah.
one that she got you for Christmas?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's nice in the brush. I mean,
I
that's
chopped a pumpkin with it, so it works great.
Well, there you go. I mean, pumpkins are evil sometimes. You know what? I have
That
to bring-
brand is really tough. Like if you can sharpen them and keep them sharp, they're really, really sturdy.
Mhm.
What are those big Gerbers?
Jamie says that knife is cutting edge.
Those are nice. That's funny, Jamie. You're funny. You're funny.
It was a sharp joke.
That's not a knife. This is a knife. That's an old joke.
Julie
Anyway.
Bug still wants Crimson more Sky Daddy. We got to get the regular computer back once it's back from
It'll
its
happen.
near-death experience.
It'll happen.
We can communicate with it with some EVPs and
Yeah,
then get that thing rocking.
Wait, would that make him Thunder Daddy?
I don't know. I mean, we don't know
Mm.
yet. We don't know yet. So
We should
anyway,
we should get the rights for God of Thunder to play during that.
Yeah.
that's so. Anyway, so you guys, news this week has
Mhm.
been a little crazy. Let's say a little crazy,
Yeah.
right? It's been a little crazy. We've had some, developments on certain ends of some stuff. The whole Corbell thing. It came back out, and
Yep.
and there's extra footage with that now, and so forth. I'm still not convinced, that it's not just regular old Earth tech gone wild, so to speak. But we've seen other things. We've seen people trying to hardcore debunk it as balloons and so forth and so on. Not going to spend a whole bunch of time on that because I thought we did a pretty good job on that, honestly,
Mhm.
on the last live. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
good, not bad at all. They did release that chandelier type video again. I'm not sure what that is, but more importantly, we now have talk of extra dimensional things. And I'm not talking about the Miami stuff, because that's still in, over there in social media land on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, all that. There are people who are claiming now that they saw a device that opened up, and they were kids playing with a portal device, because apparently you can make portal devices now. Joe, do you know that?
Oh yeah. I mean, the kids can make them.
Yeah, I heard there was a do-it-yourself kit that you could get, and all
Yeah,
you
it
needed.
sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the do-it-yourself kit sounds like something that you'd get in the Anarchist Cookbook, but
Do you
Yeah.
remember on
Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch when they were talking about all the power they would need to make
You mean
even
real
a small
portals,
one?
right? You mean
Just
real portals.
theoretically.
Yeah, theoretical portals. That's completely different. Yeah.
oh, we got the guys from West
Uh-oh.
Virginia unseen are down with pneumonia and flu.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
man.
Oh no.
Mm.
A double whammy. Hope you guys start feeling better. Gobstopper, Corbell's Bubble UFO Soap Suds.
There you go. We've got we're going to talk about some stuff. First of all, apparently you can how do you
Do,
what how do you like it? We love it. What are you talking
Oh
about?
yeah.
yeah, I shared it over on the group page over there. I love that that colored pencil look
Oh,
to it. It just
I
looks
like
so great.
the fact that they actually went to the point. If you noticed, the propeller's not turning on the aircraft as it's coming down. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you
So,
notice they also got the landscape correct for where it crashed at?
mhm.
Like that
Yeah,
impressed me.
yeah, man, it's good. It's really good.
Hmm.
That's going to be a great one. I cannot wait to see it. Lost contact, of course. And Dewey, where do we have a picture of his? We don't have a picture of his. I can't bring it up. Do you have a picture of his latest book? Anybody?
Let me get it.
Yeah, we'll throw that up here in a little bit. But Dewey has done some incredible research on the Thomas Mantell incident, and has an incredible account of it, of that research, and it's pretty crazy. We actually talked a bit about that. There's a past episode you can go back and watch that. But yeah, he's contributing to that legend in multiple ways at this point, and good data, really good data, which is what we need. Um, as I was saying, apparently there's this little thing going over there around over there on TikTok or some of these other social media things, and there are people saying, there were portals created. That's what happened here in Miami. There's mention of it in other places, but apparently it's so common that kids can do this now. They just run around with these portal generators that they make out of pressure cookers, copper,
Pressure cookers, obsidian, and copper.
obsidian cores with copper, and my favorite, because you can't get anywhere else. I mean, my dark web subscription, it went out, so I can't order the red mercury that you need to make this work, because that apparently works with red mercury.
All
If you
that
don't
would do is just make the copper really
no,
hot.
it would kill you. It would kill you,
Well,
because the
that too.
copper, yes, the copper would gas off the mercury, and you
Yeah.
would probably inhale that and go mad,
Well, I was
which
gonna
might be.
say the obsidian also might explode because it's just glass. Once
Well,
it gets,
yes,
if
it's just
you get
glass.
glass superheated, it'll explode.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
totally just glass, is all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're gonna
So
be.
here's Dooster's book,
That's it. That's it. That's it. 12 o'clock high.
12 o'clock high. And if you guys go out there and order a copy of this book, you can find it on Amazon or get a hold of Dewey directly, and get that sent directly to your home, guys. It is
Yeah.
a full data dive, essentially, like all of the information you can possibly muster for the Thomas Mantell UFO chase
With
and
more
subsequent
with,
crash.
with more to come. I understand.
Any book that Dewey does is super researched. I mean, I've got two of them right here.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
You can see them both.
I just put mine back on the desk,
I think.
or back on my bookshelf last night, and I whopped out this one. This is what I'm currently reading. This is
Oh,
Matt Pruitt's phenomenal
Mhm.
Sasquatch book. We got it. I picked up my copy at CryptidCon, and I'm just now getting around to reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we should probably do a book club at some point.
Everybody here is saying they're ready for the storm. We're all snow ready. Glad the temperature's up a bit. Tommy said they basically made bombs. Yeah, essentially that's how that works. Like I
Right,
guess
Tommy.
when this whole pressure cooker thing would go pop, that it opens up a dimensional rift. I don't know.
Yeah, to the afterlife.
Yeah.
Immediate trip.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
You'll find out real quick what happens on the other side.
You're going from one state
Right.
of being physical to another state of being many pieces and non-physical.
Right.
So don't
So-
do
You
this.
guys
with
want a
your
portal
kids.
jump? Here you go.
If you see this stuff on TikTok, guys, do not do
No.
not follow
be
these
stupid.
guidelines to try to replicate
Don't
this
be stupid.
extra dimensional portal device.
No, don't be stupid.
Mhm.
And furthermore, you only have to do like one thing. All you got to do if you see this kind of stuff is literally just click over, and you'll see how many videos they have. And typically, they just started their account. They're just jumping on this stuff and running with it because it's hot. That's it.
Let me Let me tell you kids something. If these giant power substations that they have in the big cities don't create portals, then your little pressure cooker is not going to do it either.
I'm pretty sure a lightning strike hasn't caused one yet, but
Right.
Yeah.
that's just me. So you're gonna need a lot more. I'll tell you what. I was at a really cool little thing. We did, we got to go to the St. Albans paranormal discussion groups there last year, and they're just amazing. Um, and Tony Breeden, he, I have a
Oh,
pressure cooker.
That's right, Dooster.
Shutters.
That's
Little
magical right
portals.
there.
Yes, Dewey. That's a different kind of portal, and that's okay. That's okay.
That's a portal you can sign me up for, bud.
That's a portal, bud. That's a portal. you, you might have a lot more fun in that kind of portal. I don't know, but yeah. So he gave this really good presentation on portals, extra dimensions, wormholes, all the above. Explained the differences between them and had some really good stuff. So we're gonna try. We're trying to get him on here, but there seems to be some possible Men in Black activity going on. We don't know what's happening exactly. He pops up and
I
he
blame
just
the Men in
disappears.
Black.
I'm thinking it might be. Thinking it might be. So guys, before and while we're waiting on Tony, has anybody had any weird stuff going on this past week? I know it's been pretty calm for the week for most of us because I think the snowstorms and whatnot. Honestly,
Yeah, it's been kind of not really snowed in, so to speak, because we can get out, but from where and they already canceled school for tomorrow.
oh, imagine that.
Like we haven't got the first flake hasn't flown here yet, but they've already canceled. I'm guessing it's hitting Eastern Kentucky pretty hard right now.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
mm-hmm.
If that's what they're already doing.
That's because a lot of the haulers haven't been scraped yet either. Still,
I know these haulers and secondary roads even in the towns haven't been touched.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my street
it's-
hasn't been touched yet.
Yeah, I just got my mail today from 2 days. So they definitely don't do what they used to do. Remember the whole you get your mail
Oh, yeah.
anytime? Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's not like that anymore. Just letting you know that's another thing that's probably going to go away here soon. Imagine that. I mean, that's just kind of how it rolls. But yeah, let's wait and see if we can pop him up here. Let's see. I'm trying to get this thing open. I'm going to show you guys a couple of clips here. Yeah, where's it at? Here it is. Okay. So this popped into the news today, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's get some comments on this real quick. Now, if you can see that or not, but
Oh God, another one.
yeah.
Two
but-
Republican congressmen claim UFOs could be angels sent by God, as they say sightings are consistent with scripture from the Bible. You know that this was actually a belief that was held by Billy Graham as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. He actually wrote a book about that, I believe.
Yeah.
Angels and something. I can't remember the name.
So it says a second Republican congressman has publicly floated the idea that UFOs may be angels sent by God. Missouri lawmaker Eric Burleson, who has been privy to the classified briefings on the phenomena, advanced the sensational theory on an amateur podcast this week. Well, we know it wasn't this podcast because this podcast is professional, by God. They may not fit exactly the biblical narrative, but whenever I use the term angels, as he told the UFO podcast yesterday, to me, it's synonymous with an extra dimensional being.
So angels are just silver craft that zoom across the sky, huh?
I don't know, but
I mean, I can see what he's saying though, the extra dimensional being part,
Yeah.
because like if you get into all this stuff, like from the religious aspect, and again, I'm not your typical religious guy about this stuff. It one of the things that I taught before my wife and I took the sabbatical stuff was, and I taught it for years, was that heaven and angels and all this stuff is just it's just beyond the veil. It's present here with us right now. You can just push through it, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. That's another dimension, essentially explaining how that stuff worked on a very, very simple level. And so I can see where he's coming from, and like at least he's not saying they're demons.
Oh, but wait, just wait.
Oh, it gets better.
Oh, it gets better.
Oh boy.
Congressman Eric Burleson told the UFO podcast that he believes non-human intelligence described by UFO whistleblower David Grush might be angelic. However, I use the term angels, he said, to me with synonymous with the extra-dimensional being.
I.e., he's an ancient astronaut theorist.
Yeah,
And literally, that's what he's saying.
it is.
What's funny is people like this are actually right in a way that these things probably did inspire those stories whenever they saw them, but they're not directly the same thing. They're
like Reverend Carter
these
said,
things
we're all
aren't
right
like,
and we're all wrong.
yeah.
It's exactly what Carter said. We may all turn out to be right and we may all turn out to be wrong.
Mhm.
I understand what that duality means now. It makes perfect
Mhm.
sense, and we're seeing it play out in front of our eyes.
Exactly.
There you
Their
go,
comments
Jeff.
highlight the frenzy of UFO speculation in Washington, D.C. over the past 7 months, provoked by whistleblower David Grush's testimony that the government is in possession of off-world craft. Congressman and Marine veteran Mike Gallagher, who also serves on the House Oversight Committee with Representatives Burlington and Burchett, my personal hero, suggested that last June, UFOs might be time-traveling craft piloted by humans from the future. Representative Gallagher compared the scenario to the plot from the 1984 film The Terminator. Well, that's kind of bleak and scary. The Wisconsin Republican also floated this hypothesis that UFOs could actually be from an ancient civilization that has been hiding here and is suddenly showing itself in the same June appearance on ESPN analyst Pat McAfee's sports talk show.
Well, you understand what I'm saying here and what he's saying.
Yeah, it's ancient
Aliens.
astronaut.
Ancient
Aliens.
Aliens. So, but here you go, Brandon. This one's for you. This is in the same article. And we had to, there has to be one. There's always one.
But similar arguments linking UFOs to demonic entities or angelic miracles have also been made in less scholarly form on cable television shows like Ancient Aliens and online by conspiracy theorists and evangelical Christians, among others. The editor for Phenomena magazine, Brian Allen, to cite one account, spoke to Anglican pastor Ray Bokey,
Whoever.
claims
Bokey.
that a faction within the Pentagon deeply believes that UFOs are the product of demonic forces. Bum, bum, bum. The Defense Intelligence Agency are looking at this as a demonic element. And they labeled these sorts of aliens as non-human entities, Allen said. Gloom and doom. They believed that there was a demonic component to the UFO phenomena. They are not invading us. It's biblical. I mean,
the Defense Intelligence Agency is looking into demons. What's that tell you? That tells you that your taxpayers' dollars is really, really.
Beth says, well, I guess I have
Guys.
aliens in the holler or angels or demons.
Or
I got
something.
one on camera. Now I'm worried about it.
So if they're both, how do you tell the difference?
Right?
I don't know.
Like,
but
One
here's-
has
L.W.
horns,
Marshall.
and a
But
pitchfork.
the thing, guys, is that this isn't new. None of this is new. That's what we wanted to stress to you. It's not new. These headlines are not new. I'm a Catholic and I believe the scripture, but when God sends an angel, it's usually to be identified, not to confuse. And
Exactly.
L.W. Marshall is right.
They're very
but
blunt
this-
whenever they do show up. They
This is
show up
not-
and they're like, "We're sent by God."
okay, but look,
Yeah.
this isn't.
Actually, when they show up, it's more like, don't freak out.
This
Please
is
don't
what we're-
scream.
This is what we're looking at. The close encounters of
Don't be
congressional
afraid.
kind. The lawmakers are struggling to grasp alleged interdimensional nature of UFOs. We've been hearing this word, interdimensional. It's being cropping up, but it's not new. It's not new at all. We talked about this back when this dropped, and this was back in 2019, I believe, is when this happened. Remember this headline? The government secret UFO program funded research on wormholes and extra dimensions. You guys remember that, right? So this isn't new. This is what's interesting. Everyone thinks that we've got this new stuff. Guys, they're not showing us anything that they haven't already shown us. I don't think that they're showing Congress anything that they haven't already shown us. They're just putting it in a different package and letting them see it and letting them run with it. That's what I think. But we're going to talk about portals because they're talking about portals and everyone's talking about portals. And apparently you should have one. You're not cool if you don't have a portal. I mean, that's what I've been told. Is that, whoa, do you see that? That's probably some kind of extra dimensional thing there. So let's try as best as we can to summon our guest
Through
Mr.
a
Tony.
dimensional gateway. Let me get my pressure cooker. Hold on.
Get the pressure cooker. I've got the red mercury. All right.
Tony, can you hear us? Do we have a good connection now?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine now.
Yeah, look, perfect. We've got you too, man.
We got you loud and clear, and we didn't put in the wrong coordinates backwards or anything. We didn't zap you out into Antarctica. It's all
Yay.
good.
Now,
then I'm
in
really
fact, the only
glad I'm not
backwards
dealing
thing we
with you.
did was just play an old record, an old 45 backwards, and it worked. It summoned you. So I guess you must be demonic, Tony.
Well, I mean, if he's playing the Doors, it's not me who has the demon problem. It's going to be wrong. It's not. I'm a very angelic person.
Yeah.
Sweet, just sweetness and light all the way
Mhm.
through. Never an agent of chaos.
Never.
Not
Never.
even
No,
one.
that's not how you roll.
There is no data to support that at all, Tony. Anywhere on the internet.
But
Max,
that
does he
doesn't
want the
mean it's
portal
not
gun
true.
too?
There's lots of data to refute that actually. Never mind.
Oh my gosh.
So
People-
you guys like dumped the Collins Elite, the portal research, and all sorts of things while I was fumbling with my computer. That's some fun stuff.
we were,
Oh,
we were
yeah.
just throwing it all out there and until we seen you come in on with until the chevron locked and we had a solid green light there to pull you through.
Yeah,
But, yeah. But
that's one of many little sci-fi shows that shows us portals in a good way. Teleporters are not a good way. Teleporters are suicide.
Teleporters are how you wind up with the fly.
No,
Dude, you're dead.
teleporters in Star Trek, the John Carter, the Edgar Rice Burroughs way, the Star Trek transporter. All they do is kill you, and then like reassemble a clone at the other end who thinks he's you.
That's right.
Don't do that.
No.
That's
Dr.
a
McCoy-
bad portal.
No, McCoy was right. I mean, he was like, I don't like those things in the original. I think it would have been great if they would have made McCoy kind of like BA was back in the A-Team where he was refused to get on the planes. You had to like knock McCoy out to put him into a transporter. That would have been great, man.
No.
That'd been some TV right there.
I think that would have aged poorly.
I don't know, man. That's been
In the
pretty
age
funny.
of consent, I'm pretty sure we'd be like, no. Now, if it was one of my brothers, I'd totally be like, there's a little push. Just want to see if that works on you first, and then we'll. That's the best thing about being an older brother is you figure out at a certain point that you have guinea pigs.
Yeah.
And they're great.
So you would shove your sibling through a portal, is what you're saying?
There's at least the littlest one.
Okay.
at least Jason. And if anybody had met my brother, you'd know why. You really just would.
Okay.
I don't know how to even explain that, except there's always one in the family. And I know you think it'd be me. And I forgive you for that. But that's not how it actually is. When you're talking about portals, though, you got to really define which kind of portal you're talking about.
That's
right.
You do.
From one place to the other, you talking about time travel, you talking about wormholes. What are you talking about exactly?
Right.
Well, I know exactly what we're talking about now because Adam Good is finally here.
Oh. All right. Adam's
It did
here.
take 3 times.
Ashley,
Ashley's
it did.
here.
It's right.
Yeah.
Lisa
Yeah.
was right.
Yeah, you just summoned him. This takes 3. That's all it takes.
It just takes
Ashley's in the house. What's going on, Ashley?
So I asked you to come on because we wanted to do this portal thing because everybody's talking about portals, like I said, and there's some ludicrous theories that have been brought up. And we're going to talk about those again. God help us. But we're going to talk about those again and probably aggravate some people and, make them angry. I don't know. But truth's the truth. And
I don't live for this. I go through this reluctantly. I don't like to stir up the hornet's nest.
No, it's
not me.
Never. No, not you. You gave a really good and insightful presentation last year on portals, wormholes, extra dimensions, and all that. And I was like, man, this is a good topic. So when we brought this up, I'm like, I want to see if Tony can come on and kind of do that because you hit on some really good points that I don't think people really understand. Um, Particularly the whole wormhole thing,
Yeah.
and you know the difference between a wormhole and an actual portal or a stable portal. Let's say
Yeah,
that.
wormholes aren't stable.
No,
There's actually like microscopic wormholes as we speak, but scientists believe that in order to keep a wormhole open long enough for us to travel through it, that it has to have enough, and I'm not making up this term, they did, strange matter
that's right.
to hold it open for us to get through. And furthermore, if you do get through, it will close on the other side. It will just snap shut. And if you have a computer programmed to send back data at the speed of light, which, you know, at right before it closes, that's the only way you'll get any data as to where you went. So that means that, you know, if you're dealing with a wormhole, you can't get back.
So it's a one
So
way
I
trip.
hope that you were going where you thought you were going, or that you really needed that.
So what you're saying is that a wormhole, if you were to travel through a wormhole, it is a one-way trip.
It is a one-way trip, yeah. And you know, black holes are obviously like the biggest version we think of a wormhole. There might be a universe on the other side, but black holes actually give you an idea why portals are kind of, from the scientific point of view, kind of problematic if you're trying to put even a small one in, say, I don't know, the Miami Mall. First, you've got things like radiation. Hawking radiation won't really actually kill you. It'll just give you cancer in, you know, 20, 30 years. Thermal radiation is a bigger problem. In fact, there's a belief that once you pass the event horizon, which that's a fun part there too, because, you know, past the event horizon, we have a phenomenon known as spaghettification. I had spaghetti today. That's not why. But spaghettification is exactly what it sounds like, where you just get pulled out. You would have to have some serious protection to keep that gravity well from just, it wouldn't be pretty. Okay. There wouldn't be much of you to get on the other side that was, you know, in the same shape it was before. Would you be thinner? My goodness, yes. Best weight loss program ever.
Don't they say that you would get
that you won't even get that far, because you've heard of a firewall, right?
Mm-hmm.
The firewall effect of a black hole is that it fries anything that hits the event horizon. So first you're deep fried, and then you're spaghettified. And then, yeah, it doesn't sound like, but that's because it's, you know, it's super massive. It's a black hole. So would some version of those effects happen on a smaller level? Maybe. There's also the worry that you would have plasma ejecting from both ends for a smaller portal. White hot plasma. It sounds like Taco Bell, the movie, I know, but on both ends, that is not a good place to be. And that brings up the one thing that would be undeniable. If you had a portal in the Miami Mall and it was the wormhole type, electromagnetism would be your biggest problem, actually. If you could survive the heat of the radiation, electromagnetism, there should be electricity sparking all over the place. And whoever did this cute little CGI bit didn't take that into account.
Well, yeah, they should have. You know, what's odd is that I know a very, very limited amount about this whole portal stuff. But one of the things that I did know.
Well, Joe, you know more than they do at this point. So.
Oh yeah, especially the folks at Miami and that everybody, all these TikTokers and everybody blurting out all this garbage about that. But yeah, but I did know because I went through Stan Winston's school, that they talked to astrophysicists and they talked to other and regular, you know, normal physicists on how the portal would work when the Terminator came to Earth. Or came to this Earth, came back into, blipped into this, how it would burn and scorch the ground. There would be electromagnetism spurting everywhere.
Yeah, there should be a small EMP that knocks out your camera at the very least. So that's a problem.
Yeah. So you're talking about leaving the thermal radiation, like you said, would be the biggest problem, because anything within a certain area is going to boil and get roasted.
Yes.
And then you've got the electromagnetism going around. That's
you
a whole other problem
too, didn't you? They did make a big point of showing the electromagnetic shell around that in the Terminator 2.
That's right. They did.
And that's because electromagnetism is something. It's actually going to be the most powerful force you contend with. Thermal radiation, yes, but that magnetic force is going to be the worst thing you have to deal with if you're that close to a portal. So where are
Wow.
your ducks?
Yeah.
So-
So that's obviously why the phones didn't work, right?
Right.
Because of the electromagnetic
And it
radiation.
makes sense on why you need a pressure cooker now, Ron,
Well, yeah, you got
because you have to be able to contain that heat.
You have to, and only a pressure cooker is going to do that. I mean, Mr.
What are y'all
Fusion
inventing on the side here?
3000.
Hold on.
Oh man, there's
Oh,
a
no.
TikTok
can just
video
use
that's
mine for
been going
chili.
around.
I'll send you the
And-
link. We're not going to give anyone any. I'm not giving anyone any indication to go follow this individual or
Absolutely not.
propagate this nonsense.
no.
So we're not doing.
We're not going
that.
to put it here at all. But essentially, he was saying what he was essentially telling people to do to try to manufacture one of these things is going to kill people. Because it was obsidian, copper, and some other stuff in a pressure cooker.
Now,
We all know
he,
what happens when you do stuff with that. It's just not going to be a
he didn't
like you can
necessarily
obsidian and
tell-
copper is not going to be combustive. But if you turn this thing on,
but he didn't necessarily say to do it. Let's be.
well, yeah, because he has to
real
follow
here.
the same guidelines that everybody has to put stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
You know, he can't
says-
tell people how to operate this thing.
No,
legally.
he says that these other group of people these kids basically figured it
Yeah.
out, and they have a name. They're some kind of, I don't know what they call themselves. It's a bunch of nonsense, is what it is. It's a story that's been made up, and people love stupid stories, and they're following it and they're spreading it like what it is, and yeah, it's nonsense, like Joe said, and
It's called social contagion.
Yeah, it is.
It's really fun.
Yeah, it's
'cause
fun until
once you
someone
get that idea out there, no matter how bad it is, it's
Yeah,
never-
and when some idiot gets a hold of that and says,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm going to try it," like Joe said, then it becomes an issue.
Yeah, it does. It's a major problem.
So you don't do that. Don't be stupid. You're not going to create a portal. Let's talk about that for a second. If I wanted to create a portal, if I wanted to create a physical portal, one,
You need something like the Hadron Collider.
yeah,
you need
right.
something bigger.
bigger,
Than
bigger.
that. You can't create anything but micro portals with that.
Right, exactly. Micro black holes is all they've ever been able
Yeah.
to do at this point. I understand.
You would need something that's powered by the sun in our particular neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And that's we're not to the point in our civilization where we can create something to harness the sun itself, with the exception of something to I don't know.
Yeah, we'd have to make like a
water
Dyson
tank.
sphere to be able to do that.
Yeah, but nothing on that level to where we can actually harness fusion itself from the sun
Sure.
and do those wonderful things. And it's probably a good thing.
Oh, it's a very good thing.
Okay.
Yes, humans are notorious about taking really incredible technology that can benefit the entire world and using it to destroy an entire world. So
We're pretty
yeah.
good at that. Yeah,
Pretty good at
we've always been pretty good at that.
pretty good at that.
Since Cain and Abel, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah,
Right.
But let's.
You don't
let's-
even have to be anything particularly. And we'll kill each other with sticks. Me and my brothers certainly tried to. Whether
that
we were
again.
pretending they were swords or lightsabers or quarterstaffs because we'd watched Robin Hood. We were trying to take each other's heads off.
Sure, makes sense.
And,
It's it's a thing. But let's look at the technology at this and say, well, theoretically, it is possible to make one of these things. It's just we don't have that tech right now. So
Yeah.
if people happen to be seeing portals, real ones out there somewhere, it's not beyond speculation at this point to say that there could be something out there that's a lot smarter that could possibly create a stable, I guess a stable portal, not a wormhole, but a stable portal at this
Right.
stage, right?
Well,
Theoretically.
the caveat to that is in order for us to artificially create a stable portal, first we have to find a natural one so that we
Yeah.
can copy it. So what that begs the question of is, are there stable portals that we've accessed?
That's
And I
very
mean,
good.
if you want to go look at paranormal history, you can bring up things like fairy rings. You can bring up things like there's In South America, there's a building that's supposed to be a door that they can turn into a portal at some point if they do something. I forget what it was.
Gate of the Sun, is that the one you're
Yeah,
talking about?
there we go. Yeah.
Gate of the Sun. Yeah.
There was the belief that the poles were portals to the inner Earth, the hollow
Right.
Earth. Now, obviously, it's not on the North Pole. We've been over that, but for some reason, there's a blackout over Antarctica, and I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but that's suspicious.
You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist, actually, when it comes to things like that, because like we said, the best. I think some of the biggest secrets are just hidden right there in plain sight. And I don't know what's going on in Antarctica. Couldn't tell you. I've seen some weird stuff come from that area, but until I see more data, I can't really say one way or the other as far as that goes. But I can tell you what isn't happening in Antarctica, Tony. Aliens are not living in Antarctica and getting the dial home address backwards and appearing in a mall in Miami.
But you're not saying that aliens aren't living in Antarctica.
No,
I was going to say, I
did
mean,
not say that.
you kind of made a sweeping generalization. Now, I know that Albert Bender claimed that they left in 1963.
That's right.
And they apparently left the Men in Black behind, too.
Yeah.
Even though they were supposed to be the Flatwoods Monster was the final reveal. Was the reveal of Albert Bender's last book?
Yeah, Albert K. Bender's last book. Yeah,
and they look just like the Flatwoods Monster, which even Gray Barker was like, no, just no.
Yeah.
Thanks for the nod, but no. But yeah, I mean the possibility that there was always these stories that you could get to. They're from different places that were supposed to be portals. There's a theory that the pyramids are either a big communications array or maybe they actually activate a portal. It depends on what conspiracy rabbit hole you go down.
Yeah.
And I go down quite a few before I come up for air and go, boy, that was fun. I don't know how much of that I believe, but that was fun.
Well, and it's important to do that. We have to look at all these things and look into these conspiracies because a lot of times we've got to find out where they came from.
Well,
what the origin was
there's an interesting parallel between fairy circles and UFOs.
That's right.
And that is barley cakes. You guys have heard of the Joe Simonton pancake UFO incident?
Well, I have, but I completely forgot about it until
and that was one of the trivia questions that I gave you guys. But Joe Simonton in the 60s, he said that for 4 minutes he entertained people from another planet. They came down in their flying saucer. They asked for water. So, we need some water. He said, sure. He went in the house. He got some water. And they said, in return, we'd like to make you some of these pancakes. So they made these pancakes. They served it to him. He said they were like barley pancakes, but they were kind of tasteless. And then they left. I said, okay, that's interesting. Since he had some of them left, he went ahead and sent them in. I forget if it was the FBI or the Air Force or whoever. And they tested them. This is in Blue Book. They tested it, and they figured out that they were just like any pancake you would make on Earth. They were barley pancakes, and they were missing one ingredient. Can you guess what it was?
Water.
No, they definitely had water after they made the pancakes after they got the water. Good guess, though. Because that would be dust. We both know that. That'd be horrible. Salt.
What?
Now, what's interesting is that if you look into the folklore of like the UK and Europe and you start looking at fairies, barley cakes are kind of a big deal. One of the things that fairies are averted to are salt. Absolutely. And a lot of times if you would give them a gift of milk or water or something like that, in return, they would give you barley cakes. And the other thing that's interesting about those two parallels is, fairy rings. And I've often wondered to myself, because I like to feed the flames of conspiracy whenever I get a chance, It's demons. It's all demons in here. Okay. And the reason, but I wonder though. I mean, you know, we look at crop circles and we can see from the air that there's lots of strange designs. But back in the day, you would just see a circle.
Right.
So I kind of wonder if there's a parallel there between the fairy circle. You know, the fairy circles. You had like this deal where you know they would just go and they'd be lost, never see them again. Hopefully, that wasn't a one-way wormhole to hell or whatever. What dimension did you end up in? You know, we don't know. Because you know the fact of the matter is you can't guarantee that if you step through a portal that you come back to this particular dimension.
That's right. Yeah.
The brain theory, BRANE, like membrane theory of the multiverse, means that they're stacked up like pancakes. See, I was going somewhere with this.
Yeah.
That different membranes containing universes are stacked together in something called the bulk. It's not a fat joke. It's just what they call it because nerds named it, like me, and they use their big brains to call things brains for whatever reason. And they're all stacked up together, so that means that at the points of connection, there's a possibility of intersecting from one brain or one universe to another. And if you take that with the many worlds hypothesis, that means that at every nanosecond, different realities are splitting off from the next one. Those are all, it's all based on what do you call quantum entanglement. It's the idea that there are two states together, and no matter how far apart separated they are, two states together that they can even be equal and opposite. You can have a coin that's underneath of a cup, and it can be heads and tails at the same moment. And it's not until you lift up the cup to see which one it is that it actually becomes the actual heads or tails. The potential.
So Schrodinger's cat.
It's exactly Schrodinger's cat. That's just the sicker way to put it. The one everybody remembers because we're sick, deep down demons. That's what it is. I'm just going to
That's
keep
me.
Show about demons.
I mean, that's one massive pancake. That's all I know.
It is a massive pancake, and it is stacked. It's like you know how they the phrase it's turtles all the way down. Well, it's pancakes all the way down.
Pancakes. It's pancakes.
It's definitely more than you can eat, more than Galactus could ever dream of eating. It's just pancakes all the way down.
Making me hungry, man.
You know, some of those just may be different in the way that you know Brandon did not wear that hat.
Sure.
Or it has Nessie on that hat instead of Bigfoot. Okay, yeah. But other things would be, you know, Spock with a beard. You know, but it's only the universes that are actually possible that are in that stack. Impossible things don't happen because if it doesn't meet the requirements, the four mechanical laws of the universe, it just falls apart anyway. So there would be no layer, there'd be no universe, there'd be no brain. Wow. Any of that make sense?
Oh, it makes sense.
Simplified that as much as I could,
right?
And hopefully didn't lose you tons of viewers while I did.
No, this is one of the highest live watching sessions we've had in a while. So I think everybody's thoroughly enjoying this one.
Right. Guys, speak up. Let us know.
I do want to hit some of these comments over here.
Yeah, hit those comments. I saw some good ones.
So Tommy says, I'm a firm believer in portals. When I was younger, I had my first experience of which could only have been a portal. Bigfoots were standing in the middle of a cow pasture. A blue light lit up my whole room. My brother and I experienced this, scared to death. Then got to connect the dots and get down here to the bottom to finish this. When we seen this portal, we heard a low thumping noise that gradually sped up until it was a low tone. I've since heard this noise and seen crazy things and can only describe the sound as like a grouse. So it's like the thumping of a grouse.
Well, as you already know, Joe, I'm sure the Pennsylvania Bigfoot is replete with connections with UFOs.
Yep.
And there's even portals. Bigfoot, big feet, whatever, stepping out of portals. Sometimes holding bright little things in their hand. There's one theory that I just ran across the other day. Somebody was claiming that there are portals and they're actually smaller creatures, smaller Bigfoot that guard the portals.
I've actually
heard really wish I'd have kept that source. I was just kind of scrolling through night going, what am I reading?
I found one like that a few years ago and I haven't been able to find it since.
Right. Don't you hate that?
Yeah. It was a good article too.
Even when I go through newspapers.com or one of the other archives, I write all sorts of crazy notes. If you find one of my clippings, it's just like, what is he? What kind of madman? Because I'm trying to remember every little thing so I can look it up later by keywords.
Oh, Sarah asked a great question, and
So-
Brandon's here this week.
Yeah,
he's
Brandon can
our-
answer this one. We tackled it last
He
week
is
on the
our
live
resident.
there towards the very end. But Brandon,
you
What-
are our resident coordinates expert tonight.
portal expert, Ron, portal expert.
Yeah, portal coordinate expert. That's you tonight, technician.
Well, I can tell you that, yeah, it would touch one of the, I think it was one of the coastlines of Antarctica it would touch, but Antarctica
That's
is
no good.
massive.
Yeah, we did a few tests with that, and West Virginia was like what 300 miles off the coast,
Yeah, something like that.
and then
It was
New
actually
York.
close to a research facility.
Yep, it was near that hotel and research facility. Then the New York, upstate New York, was just in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put the coordinates in backwards of essentially everything south of New York, upstate New York, like so from the top border of New York State all the way down, you reverse those coordinates, you're going to wind up in Antarctica.
It's
Yeah,
big.
Antarctica is the fourth largest continent. It's right below South America landmass wise, but you got to remember South America stretched out, so Antarctica is wider than what South America is because it's flat. It's more flat. It's pretty huge. Like if you put it over top of the U.S., it would be bigger than the U.S.
Yeah. And just a fine point. Technically, it's not stretched out. Technically, it's squished. That's how the Andes were formed.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
continental. Anyway.
Push the upheaval.
Yeah.
So finding the trackway has
Yeah.
joined us. He says, if you smell what the trackway is cooking, I would recommend running because my cooking sucks. Then there was another one here. Donna Ho had a weird encounter earlier she was talking about, but she said on the angel subject, yes, I have had a few true angel encounters, at least in my experience. They left no question whatsoever in what and where they were. That was in reference to one of the comments that LW left. Then said, you guys are talking about the Philadelphia experiment based on Einstein's theory. I do want to touch the Philadelphia experiment with you here in a bit. But let's see. Here we go. Sarah Ramsey says, are closets and mirrors portals? If so, why do they choose closets? That's just weird.
Okay. Question that you just asked. That's relevant in a lot of contact type research. I know I came across it multiple times. I had it from my own. I discovered it on my own, and I talked to other people who just kept mirroring what I had already, what I had thought. And that's why a lot of the questionnaires I'll ask people, was there any part of your home that, elicited great fear or anxiety, etc., just uneasiness? And it's almost always a closet, a basement corner, something like that. No. I don't think it necessarily has to be a closet. I don't think it has to be a mirror. I think mirrors get a bad rap because, they're kind of spooky. They always have been. As far as it being wise and, why that is, I think that there's a good chance, a very good chance, that if there is this other non-human technology involved, this whatever, if that technology is as advanced as they're leading us to think that it could be, i.e. we would look at it and simply say, well, this is magical because we can't understand it, although it's just a technology, a science we can't put our fingers on. If it can create stable stable portals, if it can actually open a portal that is stable, then there may be something to what we haven't really talked about that yet, but we're going to the tunneling, which basically says that it's kind of like the mycelial network that you heard Joe talk about a lot, that there are these threads that run throughout everything, throughout the universe. And what if, this technology can identify those threads and where those threads intersect and so forth and so on? Think of it kind of like the pipes in Mario, if you will. The pipes take you to the exact same place. They're in the same place. They don't move. The pipes don't move. They're always there. So could that be the kind of, the operating system behind these things? Maybe that's just how it is. They don't really appear, you know, there because of any reason other than, well, it's a good place. And that connected to this place and so forth. Remember, we are dealing with a trickster type thing here. So it makes perfect sense to me.
Well, that's the thing. Is it a trickster type thing, or is it really just that we don't understand it?
And we create
And
it in our head.
because it has done tricksy things to people, made people disappear, people waking up years later, and finding out 50 years have
Yeah.
gone by. And, maybe we're just assuming that it's a trickster when there's really no one responsible. It's just the mechanics of the universe itself. We don't
Mhm.
understand it.
That's possible. That's 100% possible that we're just putting these words and interpreting everything, in ways that make sense to us. So yeah, I can be down with that.
And one of the things that we're hardwired to do is to find purpose and design in anything.
Patterns.
We're born with that, and it's helped us as a species because we will see purpose and meaning. We'll connect the dots. We can make plans for the future. These are all good things, but sometimes we see something that really doesn't have intent behind it,
That's a good
and
point.
we tend to assume we anthropomorphize it that there's some sort of intelligence behind it when there's not. It's just how the world works. Lightning is not striking, is not, the gods are not angry because lightning struck Bob. Bob was in an open field when lightning struck, and he was the first thing it latched onto. The lightning didn't care about Bob. No, no, Thor wasn't up there throwing lightning bolts
But
at Bob. Bob
but
was just somewhere he shouldn't have been. And everybody that's seen Bob die goes, don't be in an open field when there's a lightning storm.
don't be a Bob.
Don't be a Bob.
Don't be a Bob. That's the lesson of the story tonight, kids. If you take away anything from it, don't be a Bob.
Yeah.
Don't
And
be
that
If your
reminds me of
name
all
is
those.
Bob, I know your parents that were trying to instill that lesson in you hard.
Yeah.
Reminds me of all those OSHA videos I've had to watch over the years.
Oh yeah,
Those are great.
man. Some of those, some
are
of the Japanese, their version of OSHA, the videos, the 3D videos that they make with like complete with dismemberment, they're great. It's like Nintendo 64 era graphics.
Oh God.
And they're fantastic. So Angie says, what about missing 411? Some people think that those are portals in the forest. This is, by the way, this is Angie, Tony's betrothed. And they are a power couple in the paranormal here. And
Sorry.
you like that? You like that?
Could not hold a straight face while you said that. At all. We're just out to have a good time, all right? We like weird stuff.
I figure Angie's getting a hoot out of it too. So now there are a lot of people, Dave Pilates being one of those people who is the author of all the missing 411 books and the documentaries, that it is possible that some of these people are vanishing in portals. Now, in my opinion, some of these portals could just be another word for cavern, or a sinkhole.
I was going to say bear trap, sinkhole,
Yeah.
pit traps in particular. People really misjudge or don't really fully comprehend how deep a crack in the mountain can go when they try to hop over a hole and then plummet down through it and find themselves trapped down there, and unable to saw off their own leg to get loose. I mean,
And that's even if they survive the fall.
right, exactly. And you have to be very careful out there. But a lot of people don't respect the forest. They don't respect the fact that you can get lost really easily. That there are animals out there that have no problem killing humans.
Yeah.
You know,
But now some of these
how it is.
cases are particularly interesting though, where the clothes are found intact, but not near or anywhere near a body.
Yeah.
Like they'll find clothes here and there, and they won't have animal marks in them. They'll be like and the pants will still be buttoned.
Mhm.
That is weird.
You know, if they're wearing jeans or some kind of button pant, the pant will still be buttoned, but the clothes will be gone, the socks, shoes, everything will be found within a couple locations nearby, but the person's just not.
Now
And I know that
that
there's a lot
is
of
demons. That's all that is. That's
That's
demons.
demons. That's what Tony says. Tony's
And-
answer is demons. He's
and you know,
joined
I'm
Right.
sure that there's a lot of plausible explanations for that too, where humans are just involved with that. You know, have it working in the past with different human trafficking kind of stuff and having to take those
Yeah.
classes. You know, that wouldn't surprise me at all either. But some of these people, like me, you would not expect somebody built and looking like me to be human trafficked. I mean, maybe you would, because I'm like, you know, some people, it's a few, but some people might think I'm gorgeous, and
No,
you know, you
no
don't
one
know.
thinks that.
Yeah, I might.
No one.
Somebody might snag me, but I doubt it. But it's people like these hunters that are woodsmen. They know what they're doing, but and they'll disappear and they'll find like the jacket still zipped. You know, it'll be something obscure, like the jacket they were wearing will be zipped and hanging on a tree somewhere.
Right, and I mean that could just be simple misdirection because it's weird, and it would
Yeah.
definitely throw somebody off. And it could, it could be any number of things. My concern for that person that you've mentioned is why are the fairies taking everything but the clothes, or why are the aliens subducting the person without the clothes? Are they going to show up at the Miami Mall without any clothes?
Right? Because then that creates a whole other problem. They're going to
It
have to get
does.
registered and everything.
It does.
I mean, you know, it does.
Now,
Now I'm starting to suspect a trickster. You're
right?
you've convinced me.
That's the
Um,
data. Got to follow the data.
That's how my
man.
mind works. It's like, when I investigate one of these things, I'm like, where are the clothes? Okay,
You gotta
he's out here naked. Why did they leave the clothes behind? Did he get other
Yeah.
clothes? Help me here.
No, I mean,
Right?
I can
You understand the situation.
Yeah, I get it.
If
Sarah
he-
Ramsey
if
asked,
he
"Are
was
all
in
mirrors
that
portals?"
portal, why didn't clothes go?
Well, apparently, Tony, you've never read
That's
not
not
Fantasy.
the
all
kind
it
of
was.
portal I want to use.
Right, that's
Oh, geez. Are all mirrors portals, but it takes a haunted person to activate it? Now, that's a good question as well,
Hmm.
Sarah. And here's an answer for you. There has been a couple rumblings in, these, I guess these whistleblowers talks that they've been saying, is that some of this technology, it seems to react to certain people, which is kind of consistent with what we had figured out during our presentation when we did there last year with the Making Contact presentation, where we kind of figured out that maybe they were experimenting with this stuff years and years ago, accidentally made contact, and that's kind of where they all ended up getting their information from. But it seems that some of this technology, they think, may be triggered or activated by certain people, and that may come down to what Nolan was talking about with the whole brain thing, where it was like 1 in 100 people or something. I forget what the exact quote was, but yeah, I mean, it's very possible that it's subjective to those people, or it's how those people are perceiving it, so to speak. And it's also possible that it's not even real. It's just completely in your head. It's
the reptoids are projecting an image
Could
into
be.
your brain and
Could be.
keeping
Could be.
them. Yeah, no,
Totally
Maybe.
could be.
I don't know.
So we've got
Totally could be.
there's a similar thread happening out here in the comments, and I want to address that. There's a few who are commenting, and I've heard this is a common trend in some of these disappearances, as well as the appearance in some cases of these possible Bigfoot sightings. And Angie says the missing 411 case where the older gentleman was hunting and they heard a metallic sound and he disappeared haunts me. There were people all around. I remember that story. And then Julie Bug says, what about the sounds of metal banging with maybe the opening and closing of a portal, like the reports that people have heard in the LBL?
Mothman.
Then Deuster says, I have actually heard that sound in the LBL. So Deuster has heard this himself. He's been a witness to this type of phenomena.
Mhm.
What do you think? there, Tony, because this metal, I've heard the metal sound before in the woods. I was actually, it was me and my wife were together. We were out hiking,
Finding the
and
trackway right there, right now, just now.
I'm gonna get down there real quick.
Captured the sound twice now.
Anita says she's heard that as well. I've captured that sound twice while on an outing looking for Bigfoot. What this sound to me, what I personally sound, what my wife heard with me, it sounded like somebody holding a big sheet of sheet metal and going that waka, 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 doing that, wobbling it back and forth, that oscillating sound, or the sound made by the wave generated, the springing wave from the steel.
Okay, well, anything that does the things that portals are meant to do is going to create some sort of auditory sound because there's going to be vibrations from it.
Yeah, you will hear it there.
You know, you're dealing with electromagnetism, you're dealing with radiation, you're dealing with some pretty interesting physics. And we don't really even know what strange matter is. It's something we throw in mathematically to make the portals stay open. So we don't even know what that part is. But we know that if we generate a field of any sort of electricity or magnetism that's strong enough, it makes a sound and it affects other things that are in the area. And that's the thing that I always come down to when I'm thinking about portals in the woods. And I'm like, is anybody looking to see the effect of the leaves on the trees? You know, if it happened in fall, are there less leaves on the trees in this area? You know, you think of something on a grand scale like Tecumseh, you know, that knocked everything down. And that obviously was not a portal. God, I hope it wasn't a portal. You know.
Well, speaking of Tunguska, because I want to revisit the Tunguska thing with you too here in a moment. So keep going on this metal oscillating sound. I'm curious.
So there's going to be some kind of vibration from the source, and it's going to act like a speaker, because the thing about a portal is it has another end, and the other end may not be in our universe, but it has a mouth. Okay, so it's going to be one direction that it goes out in. Okay, it's not going to be like you see sometimes on sci-fi shows. It shows it radiating from an orb. Mm-hmm. That's not accurate as far as how you describe the physics. It's coming from a mouth of some sort, basically. It's a portal, you know? So it all has to go in one direction. Now, what does it sound like on the other side of that? I went a long way to get to this, okay? When your eardrum hits something hits the back of your eardrum, it hits the tympanic membrane, it hits the little bones back there, and you interpret that as sound. When that's going out that way, there's also a sound that pops back that way. And my theory is that warble warble sound you're hearing is what people hear on the other side. On the back end of the portal, it's technically not in our universe, but something has to reverberate off the sides of that thing. Because it's kind of hard to explain something that doesn't have a back but still would have a back noise.
I kind of like from that description, I'm kind of getting it. Like,
right?
Obviously, the portal working the way you're talking about, you wouldn't be able to walk in the back side of that portal.
No, you won't be able to walk in the back side of it. But because it's snapped into our brain,
that's like where the rip's at.
When the ripples go out, it's going to have a backwards effect of some sort too.
Okay, I'm tracking.
So if you're hearing that, you may not be facing the portal is the best way I can explain it.
Gotcha. So you might be, the portal would be the rear side of the portal would be facing you.
Right. And this
at least from some direction.
Speculation based on the fact, okay, if it's going out that way, some of that could be subsonic. It could be, you know, it's going to make some kind of sound though. And I've heard things out in the woods that sounded like screeching metal. I've heard things that sounded like big bangs, like two trains smashing together. I've heard some interesting sounds out in the woods and just went, what is out here? Why am I out here again? Right?
Well, Jamie's got something new for you to try when you and Angie go back and visit the statue up at Point Pleasant. It said if you rub Mothman's statue's butt a certain way, like the codes of an old Nintendo, will it open a portal?
Right, left, right, up, down.
No.
L1, R1. No.
Okay, I'm really surprised there have been no comments about probing since we're talking about portals. Thank you for that.
There have been. I just haven't gotten
okay,
around to them.
good. I was,
There
thought
have
I
been a
was
couple. I just haven't found them.
Um,
So Black Tower says, I want to say how much I love this channel and everyone here. You guys and gals are amazing to this occultist. Well, thank you. We're glad you enjoy the show and enjoy hanging out with us.
You know what? That's a rain of daddy right there. That's what that is. Deserves it. That's for you.
what the?
Yeah, it's
what
happening.
am I looking at?
Hallelujah. It's a rain and sky daddies.
Oh my gosh! Lord
Yeah,
help
right.
us all. That's
Yeah.
an invasion. That's
Yeah. Wait do you see the flood I'm going to create? No. So
How much spare time do you have on your hands?
not much.
Okay, this is how you're spending it.
Not
I'm not
much.
saying I don't approve because I am an
Well,
agent of chaos.
Especially
But
with that old
The very
computer
fact
you
that I
right now.
approve should give you some sort of pause.
Right. Black Tower said, I think the electric universe theory is more accurate personally.
All right, Tony, launch.
Oh, man.
3,
The electric
2,
universe theory.
1. Weapons
Okay, well,
hot.
Yeah, I know. that just goes back to if we're in a simulation, and
It really does.
no.
Finding the Trackway says, I think it's Einstein's
I've
theory
entertained
of,
that, but I'm like, no, that's of course no.
I'm proud of you. That's
Finding the
awesome.
Trackway says, I
No
think
one
Einstein's
would
theory
admit
of the
that.
trickster. Wait, you know how many times that's been said lately in unexpected circles? I can imagine it's been popping up all over.
You're gonna see
Anita
it
has
more.
joined us.
Much
She
more.
was a little late.
Anita.
Thankfully, she let us know ahead of time because see, we actually care about our guests and all the listeners. Anita knows that, and she actually sent me a message saying that she was going to be a little late because she knows that if you're one of our regulars and you're late, you get a text message
It's like
because
school.
we genuinely want to check on you.
It's like school. Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller. It's usually Adam.
Right,
Adam.
Adam, or Pat.
yeah.
Adam.
Pat.
Yeah. have to track
Anita
them
says,
down.
you don't understand it. Tricksters are here to teach you a lesson you don't want to learn.
Well, that's true of every lesson I've been taught. I'll just be honest with you.
That's true.
I don't want to learn nothing. I'm self-improvement ended at potty training with me. Okay, I'm perfect the way I am. I don't need any of these new lessons. Forget you.
There you go,
What's
man.
wrong with you?
That's the way to be.
That's
Sarah.
right.
So Sarah says, Mark thought I had OCD because every night I'd go around, check the closet doors. He finally put it together that I have PTSD, not OCD.
That's right. That's right. Most experiences do have form of PTSD, and we have no idea that we had it until we talked to someone who does, and they pointed out to us.
Beth says, I had my grandmother always tell us a story of her seeing her guardian angel. Well, it's strange that the thing we caught above her grave, she also had premonitions we saw happen after she...
Okay, so let's we have a full house, so let's just dive into this a little bit.
Okay.
We're not going to reveal everything. Can't do that. Because
reasons.
But we can tell you this. Because it's already, it's kind of like what we've heard at this point from the government. They've already told you a little bit, so we might as well just, paint this picture for you. But it involves orbs. Yeah, we can say that because there's been a few of those of late from several places. Coincidentally, or not, almost around the same time, which is even stranger because they were all in different locations. But one of them being near Wineberry. And we just happened to be there, coincidentally, again, at the exact same time, that literally following within a day after this occurred. But there's some good photographic evidence, and then there's some really strange stuff because when we went up there, we took about everything we've got and deployed it in real time. And weird stuff happened. And it happened repeatedly.
Yep.
And it was almost as if there was an interaction. When you say that, that's the word I would use, interaction.
Yeah.
There was an interaction. The best part is we have it documented.
Yep. And while some of it was being documented, I meandered away because, ADD, and we actually discovered a couple tracks that day as well.
Hmm.
They were washed out by the rain, but they were there, and it was really interesting to see all of that happening all at one time.
It was weird.
So I want to ask you guys a question real quick, because I don't think I've ever heard a definite answer from you. So we know all three of us agree that Bigfoot itself isn't causing the phenomenon. Do you think either it's attracting the phenomenon or that the phenomenon is attracted to it?
Probably that latter one.
I think it's the second one.
Yeah.
I think that whatever it is that's engaging with us is engaging with everything on this planet in the same way, almost as if it's studying it.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Because like, if it's going to take cows, why would it not take an 8-foot monkey out of the woods or gorilla, whatever it might be?
Well, I mean, if you look at the stories, though, I mean, Bigfoot's role does not seem to be the same as said cow.
Mm-hmm.
If the cows aren't the government trying to see how much radiation they put into us, thanks to those tests in the 60s, then it's entirely possible, if aliens or whatever are responsible for it. Bigfoot doesn't serve the same role. Every story you hear about, man, those are so weird. They're just raining down. It's like the snow. How much accumulation of those do you think we're going to have by the time it's over?
About 2 to 4 inches.
At least 3 to 4 inches.
Make it rain.
Bigfoot is either like seen next to a portal, like walking out of a spaceship, or something weird like that. And Gray Barker used to think, and John Keel had the same theory, that they were like being released like monkeys, or that they were just like a lower worker of some sort. So to say, why aren't they abducting Bigfoot? Well, Bigfoot, if you look at most of the accounts that coincide with UFOs and whatnot, Bigfoot's kind of on their side already. He's not a specimen. He might be, they might be releasing him for the same reason you put a monkey or a dog in space and then study the effects of it. Like we have lots of animals up on the ISS.
Yeah. You mean like how the DNR will find deer that they've tagged to study them, like that?
Yeah.
Like how the DNR will go look for deer that they've tagged to study them and whatnot.
Right.
Same thing.
But in this case, it'd be something that's indigenous to their world.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not really studying it the same way. At least not, you could carve up a cow and leave it here because, I only needed these certain parts of it to study what I'm trying to study. Meanwhile, and I mean, I've been studying cattle mutilations because Gray Barker did write about those, and I found it just incredibly interesting how fast it can happen. Like,
within seconds.
An hour ago, that was a live animal, and now it's carved up, spread eagled, and missing things. Was like you can even see like the straight line cut through the fur around the eye, and you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's gross. And I say that I'm cheerfully skeptical, and that means that it means that, I'm not out to debunk anything. I just want to follow the evidence where it leads. So I go down lots of different rabbit holes. I believe in God. I believe in the supernatural. So it's not that I'm not like a total dyed-in-the-wool skeptic, but sometimes I'll say I want to believe. In this case, I don't want to believe at all. I do not want to believe that there's something alien out there carving up things with precision. Right. That's terrifying. Okay? That is absolutely terrifying that you just turn around and it's carved up because you're like, am I next? That's not great, So, in this case, I was studying it really hard, and I was like, when you see the precision cut across the hairs, when they cut out the eye and stuff, you're just like, what is happening here?
Do you think it might be like an automated thing for them? Like they have robots that do it?
I would have to say that it would almost have to be that way for how fast it's happening. We can do things that fast.
It would have, and the way it's carterized, it almost looks like laser precision.
Yes, it does. It looks like laser precision.
Yeah, I remember. I remember reading one from like the 70s or 80s where a farmer said he turned around for a few seconds, turned back around, and his cow was mutilated on the ground.
Yes, that's exactly the sort of thing that would happen. It would be like a matter of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Go talk to somebody, turn around, and that cow is that's it. And there were like at Skinwalker, they had cows that were like inside of a trailer and just acting sedated, like they weren't. They were like they were in a trance. Even
That's right.
couldn't figure out how they all got packed in there together. Couldn't figure out why they were so calm. Cows do not.
Yeah. They all got packed in that little storage building. That was
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, that's what I'm referring to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dewey asked if we had seen a video of a portal. Apparently,
I'm actually watching it right now. I'll put it on mute. It's running in the background.
Which one is it? Wait, I know which one this is. I remember this.
It's from 4 days ago.
Yeah. I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. That's the one where he's talking about it for like pretty much all the video, if I remember correctly. Thing appears behind in like a distortion kind of thing.
Well, I mean, that brings up something else. Is everything that you see that's a distortion in the background, that's not a camera artifact, is it necessarily a portal?
Right.
No, I mean, there's lots of things we don't know about this universe.
There's a lot.
Weird sounds that come out of the clouds all the time. We'd be fools to think that we know everything that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that my answer too is, could there be portals in the forest? Yeah, there could be. There's lots of things could be in that forest.
Yeah.
There could be, undiscovered animals, cryptids in that forest. There could be lots of things out there I don't know about because I don't live in the forest.
Yeah. It's just like the old, if a tree falls in the forest kind of thing. If you're
Right.
not there to see it, proof it's not there. That's kind of it. Yeah. Everybody was thanking Jen there for the donation to keep the show free for all time. I just want to make sure I pop that up there and let everybody see that. Thank you again, Jen. You got a rain of daddies for that. So,
Need to bring back the jellyfish, but of course the jellyfish is now like the stepchild thanks to recent news.
We did that though. We did that. We created that reality. I think
you created that reality.
Pretty sure.
Watch what you manifest next.
I have. I've been very, very careful. I've been extremely careful with my manifestation.
Some of us need money, so
I'm trying for you. I still got your book rack here, so
Oh yeah, you do. That's right. Yes.
Universe works in mysterious ways, my friend. Yeah. What else we got? Gosh, I'm flagging all these ones here. There's so many. Keep them coming, guys. We breaking some. I think we're going to break some records again on this one. We'll come close to it anyway.
It seems like it.
Yeah, they're just blowing it up. I'm just trying to flag them right now so Joe can pop them up here.
You guys should have higher standards, okay? You should not be so easily entertained.
Yeah, man, that's kind of where I'm at right now in this video too, Deuster. I'm with you. I'm very skeptical of what I'm seeing in this video, and some of the statements that are in that is made at the head of it.
Yeah.
Ron, I'm going to send it over to you to take a look at.
I've seen it. I know it's the one I've seen. I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
That thing poking out from behind a tree?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And everybody thinks it's real. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I was looking through some different portal related stuff, and I ran on that one. I was like, okay, that could be nigh anything. Did something pop out of it? Then you've got an argument for a portal.
Right, but this looks like just bleh.
Right. So that could be. There's lots of things that can create distortions.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Those things that can create distortions. You said it as well, and I'm thinking it. So,
okay.
we're probably going to make it manifest now. But here's the thing: if we're traveling through the universe as we know that we are, I mean, who's to say that every now and again we don't ram into something that just happens to interact with a certain particle somewhere on the planet? And
well, think about it. I mean, you're not on a stationary object right now.
Right.
Okay, you're on planet Earth, which is spinning around the sun, and we're not even. You look at like those old things that show just like the Earth. And it's just going, all the planets are just going around the sun.
Spiral.
But the sun is actually going forward in space at the same time. We're actually making a giant corkscrew through space at like a ridiculous velocity. The chances that we're going to hit something, that was the thing that, when I realized that one day, and I realized Fantastic Four didn't have to go anywhere to get cosmic power. stars. It could have just slapped them on Earth that one day. I mean, we're running through space. Running through space. If you want something to terrify you, think about that late at night. Yes, that's my gift to you, ladies and
I try not to,
chaos.
but you're absolutely right. And it also brings another point, my friend, as far as time travel, dimensional travel, all that stuff. Well, think about this. If we were going to, say, physically try to create a portal, an actual portal, like a time portal, right? Go back in time. How do we know where the Earth, that end point was,
right,
in space and time?
So unless those that's the problem with creating a portal. We would actually have to study. That's why I kept saying we have to study natural portals, because we need to see how they keep it stable despite the fact that this planet is moving. We're not just rotating.
You have to have the mathematical equation to keep everything focused at one time.
So we need to see how that works in real time. If there's something elastic about it, is it a network, and it's just elastic enough, and it's following us through space. If that's the case, we just need to figure out where the nodes are, and that means you can only go to certain places.
Yep.
Okay?
Stargates, right?
Which is not bad. Of course, you have to also take into account things like if I'm moving more towards the center of the universe, I'm heading towards the past. If I head away from the center of the universe, I'm technically heading for the future. This means that if I decide to do this and there's no way to instantaneously get back in any good way, shape, or form, I'm probably leaving all of my relatives behind forever.
Yeah, and then when you come back, you're coming back to a different point in time.
Or you could get trapped in time and find out, well, nobody's been born yet. This stinks. Yeah.
Lost in space and time. It could happen.
Right. I'm back here in the Middle Ages where, that's right, medical care stinks. And life expectancy for an old man is 30 years old.
Then you can save the world.
So you're like a god.
Well,
because you've already
got
lived,
the problem of the butterfly effect.
Well, that's the other thing. Every time a different
branch,
a different offshoot goes by, Marvel was right. You can't just go back and change it. No, you're actually on a different path completely.
Mm-hmm.
You've changed. Yep. You're off on a totally different branch. So, in order to make any changes, you could do it, but can you go back and fix it if you really mess it up? No,
it's already done.
You're going to go back to a different reality, and the only thing you may change next time is everybody may all have green hair. You don't have any way to definitely fix anything that you do.
It's going to wind up like Rick and Morty, where it's like a Schrodinger universe.
On the next universe.
Yeah, so you would just screw up your timeline that you're stuck in.
What's that? The Butterfly Effect, the movie, really kind of spells out how badly things can go wrong for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just really, I was like, wow, I can watch this movie once. That's one of those movies where I'm like, I'm glad I watched it because it was food for thought, but I'm never going to watch that again because I'm not.
Do you remember the Simpsons episode where Homer kept going back in time and he eventually made it rain donuts and he stayed in that universe?
Why wouldn't you? I mean, come on. I mean, it'd get messy after a while, and the ants would probably eat us all in the end. But
donuts have the power to save the world.
Now,
and humanity.
Eyes in the Woods says, I think these conditions, the conditions where these things appear, attract different types of phenomena. Yeah, I would tend to agree because there are normally multiple sets of sightings that occur around this type of stuff.
Well, and that's the thing. Sometimes it tends to be just one type in a certain area. And then in other cases, you do find like these places where they all tend to converge at once. Like Pennsylvania is just like, what is happening in there? And
it's not just Pennsylvania; it's the Chestnut Ridge,
right? And it's really most of the Appalachians if you take a
really
nice look at it. But yeah, weird stuff is happening there. I don't if there ends up being a reptilian cult underneath those mountains, it wouldn't surprise me at this point. It just wouldn't. And I'll be honest with you, if it was demons, it wouldn't surprise me at this point because it's just weird.
It is
straight up weird.
It is.
Beth
weird.
says you can't get close to it; it'll send you down another path. It's crazy.
Demonstrate
it's rabbit hole after rabbit hole, like you had mentioned earlier. You'll find yourself traveling all these different.
No problem there. I have noticed that you said that there are people that tend to act as sort of like antenna for this stuff.
Yeah,
they get reception and weird stuff happens. That's not the case with me. I seem to have a dampening effect.
Well, yeah, because even when we were at the workshop, nothing really happened until after you left. When you left was when things
Well, I
ramped
had to get in costume. But
Oh, you
no,
had to get in
that's
costume.
not it. That's not it. No, that didn't happen. No, what am I saying? That's just
Yeah.
a little bit of chaos for you.
Fishbelly says, if Bigfoot is a multidimensional animal, does it know it's multidimensional?
Would it
Probably
need to?
not. No.
See, that's
I mean,
a
it would
really
just
good
be the
question.
space
Like
it
that's
Yeah.
like, what's that movie? Leonardo DiCaprio and a top. It was all
That was
I
in
can't
your
remember the name of
universe,
it.
Joe.
My brain's like, yeah, you remember all the details.
Are you talking about the one where he goes into his own dreams?
Yeah.
Okay,
Inception.
Yeah, it's Inception.
Yeah.
Oh god, that was such a meme for a long time.
I know. I think these things appear the way they do because of their natural state into the physical plane. That's from the Black Tower.
Possible.
Right, and well, the thing is if you're dealing with something like that is interdimensional, it's the closest analog is an amphibian. You know, they live in the water and they live on the land. They don't care which one it is. Do they recognize when they've gone from the water to the land? Yeah, they do. Just like anything that rushes back into the water because it's trying to escape or wants to get on land because it can only breathe on land. It notices the difference between the two states, but it's just part of its existence. What you're asking is if it's sapient enough to understand what it's doing.
Yeah, is it capable of complex thought?
Right, and that's
Is
a
it
whole
self-aware?
different question.
So Beth says here, one day I feel like I'm a super investigator. The next day I start investigating, and it will sidetrack me and throw me off.
That's called ADD. I have it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Right. I can be in the middle of a session with Dungeons and Dragons. I'm the dungeon master. I can be in the middle of the session. I'm just looking up stat blocks for something. I'm like, oh, look at these nice dice rocks. And look, there's a dice tower here. And suddenly I realized 5 minutes of conversation went by and I don't know what's going on anymore.
Or you open the DM guide,
and that's where the chaos theory comes into the dungeon master role.
That's right.
You just say, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to throw something at you.
No. They roll up backup character sheets from day one. They know me.
Here's what happens to me.
This is chaos. Nah, try to be in a fantasy world of mine. I'm not. I'm one of the old guys. The man sacrifice.
I'll open the DM's guide at the wrong page. I'll be like, oh, that's interesting. We're going to do that now.
I drop my players off in a zombie apocalypse at level 1.
Anita says maybe they too are them from the past and releasing them now that they're done, and they are some version of human from before we lost our fur, talking about the time transport and portals and whatnot.
Realizing that they were
that could be how they got here. That's an interesting idea.
It's interesting, but it's like then you're throwing away all of the Native American legends that just kind of say they've always been here. And
it could happen though. Like they just skipped the evolutionary train,
right?
Because that takes thousands and thousands and millions of years.
Folks, we have a full house right now.
We do.
If you guys are not subscribed, please go over and hit that subscribe. It takes absolutely nothing to do so, and it puts this show out to a lot more people. I just want to interrupt because we are at a pretty good high right here.
Yeah, and I saw that spaceship go by, and I was just like a cat with a laser pointer. I said, "What's that?" Subscribe.
Yeah, I know you got my ADD flared.
That was great. Whoa, what was that?
Please.
You just have it go back and forth. I won't even know what you're asking me anymore.
Beth says it'll distract me long enough to where I forget the good stuff I was investigating, and then it's all gone.
My
problem is I'm investigating A, and then I go down the rabbit hole, and I'm like on subject F, and I'm like, this is really great, but I got nothing accomplished, and I'm writing a book as I'm doing it, so that's even more fun. You're like, well, I really have to go back to that because that chapter needs finished. I can't be writing something else.
That does happen.
Trackway says, I don't find an issue being balled by Bigfoot.
There you go,
but I draw the line with aliens. It freaks me out.
Those are my dice I call my deadly dice because I killed 3 characters in one session once.
There you go. That doesn't need a dice jail. That needs a dungeon proper. Okay. Those shiny math rocks are evil. I love them. That's better. I approve of that, Ron. That's much better.
Brandy made it into the house a little bit late, and I'm late getting to you, about
And
10 minutes late. That's
and-
how far back I am in the comments, guys.
Brandy has a good point. Follow up with that good point that Brandy just posted.
Where did she say it? Did you flag it?
Hang on, it's right. I think it's the last one. No.
Pat says, "Don't you tell me I'm not stationary, Tony.
Where'd
I'm
it
the
go?
most stationary an object has ever been on this flat plane
Here
that we
are.
call Earth."
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, on the big pancake we call her. I forgot about that. Flat as a flitter, as my dad would say. Oh, see, yeah, I like those. That's pretty good.
There it is.
Nice, compact. I've got one that's
Brandy,
like basically a big hourglass.
Brandy says, "I totally think dreams are portals."
Well, yeah, technically.
Yeah, they can be.
You know,
They
I
can
mean,
be.
everything that you write down, everything you imagine is technically an act of subcreation. And according to the many worlds hypothesis, what people don't realize is those things that you dream and imagine are also possible worlds. So it is technically possible that they exist, which is how Deadpool can talk to the narrator.
Exactly.
He can talk to the people who draw his comic book because he's
If
aware.
you hang out with me long enough, you'll notice you'll catch me doing the same thing.
But no,
Tommy
it's
says, "So does
true,
anyone
though.
think the bell from Nazi Germany was the Die Glock? For anybody who's not familiar there with that, was the object that crashed in Kecksburg? Would that not have had to been a portal device of some sorts?" Well,
I'm writing a sci-fi story where that's the case, but I don't know.
Right.
No,
I don't know.
Based on
the
the
Kecksburg
data,
crash, Stan Gordon had pretty well put that to rest. It's an older show, Tommy, but we can throw you a link to it. We'll shoot it to you in a message so you can go back and listen to Stan himself actually address that case and the whole Die Glock theory. Essentially, no, it's not.
Yeah, but it was a fun sci-fi story to write.
Oh yeah,
especially when you have Nazi werewolves that are actual lycanthropes. So,
right. Deucer says, "Picture an octopus with its head anchored to, say, the moon, with its tentacles flopping all over the Earth as it rotates. Wherever one of the tentacles contacts Earth, that becomes a portal."
Why would I want to do such a thing, dude?
I mean, that is.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Go back. This is a great Doctor Who episode.
I was going to say, this is a great. I said, Tony, you need to take notes here because this is something you need to throw into one of your worlds.
Yeah, this is.
But no, what he's saying, I think, was pertaining to because this is back 10 minutes ago when we're spinning through space time. Right. When we're not, it's just going to have to land wherever we land, and that is a decent analogy for that.
Right. You need some sort of lattice, something that's elastic, and it will have nodes. It will have points of contact where it can go from point A to point B. Octopus, the only disadvantage to that analogy is it has one major node and a bunch of offshoot points, 8 to be exact. And they all go back to a central spot before you can go anywhere else. That's possible, but where do they go? Let's hope that it's not like the back rooms that, has become a creepypasta, because I don't want to think that I end up somewhere behind things that looks basically like an office.
Yeah.
Of yellow with moldy carpet for the rest of eternity. That just sounds like, who dreamed that up? Get better.
Julie Bug says, could a person's genetic makeup possibly open a portal?
Yeah. I think so. I think that that's why a lot of these things, there's issues. You got the native kind of influence, genetics possibly, who knows? But I think that it definitely plays into it.
Well, if that's the case, I mean, then you're going back to the electric universe. You're going back to the idea that it's a simulation and your DNA is just code that allows you to access those.
And it would almost have to be like it was pre-programmed for you to access.
Not pre-programmed.
Well, it was foreordained that certain people would have that bent. It's just a certain roll of the dice. In D&D terms, it's like some people have higher charisma scores than others. Some people don't. And it would just be like that. So encoded in your DNA would be portions of language, programming code that allow you to access those things. I'm spitballing. I'm
Or
not
let those things
on that
interface
because
with you.
at no
Something
point
like
has
that.
any geneticist said, "Oh yes, here's the psychic component." You know,
Right.
it's not done
They've
that.
looked for that. They have looked for that.
They
They've
have.
come. They're coming close. I mean,
Um,
I would.
Finding
I
the
would.
trackways quoting Rowdy Roddy Piper here. Once you think you know all the answers, something comes along and changes all the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's every research project I've done ever. Thank you.
Pat
Uh,
Pat says, is a reptilian cult a bunch of reptiles with strange religious beliefs or regular people who worship legless lizards?
well,
The
who's
Church of
to
the Holy
say they're
Serpent.
legless? That's
I
the other thing.
mean,
You know, a lot of these reptoids seem to have limbs for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Beth had the people meditate, raise above the what? You
Raise
hear
above the
people
body. She's
meditate.
talking about
Oh,
out of body
out of body
experiences.
experience. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's interesting stuff. Yeah.
Brandy says, I think a person's energy could definitely open a portal.
Well, I mean, certain people's energy would definitely open portals too. I mean, would that be a good thing necessarily?
Probably not.
Right?
Pat says, I'm an interdimensional being. I move through the third dimension without thinking all of the time, but I can't even comprehend a protozoan.
Can't be comprehended by a protozoan. That's true. Protozoan has no idea what you are, has no idea that you exist, etc. Now you go up the food chain, and this is a good analogy for aliens. When you get to something like cats and dogs, they're aware you're there. Further down that scale you get, though, the less comprehension there is that of what you are and what you're capable of. Even this is why you see little creatures like birds attack big human beings that could crush them with one swat. It's just they don't understand. Bees are a really good analogy. They don't understand what's going on there. They just know something big. It's Attack on Titan. I'm going to attack that thing and I'm going to take it down. But they don't really comprehend what we are.
We've got Brandy out there. Vibrational energy can open portals. We've heard that before. We've heard that from mysticism, metaphysics, all the above. Brandy, I hope you can make it out to Point Pleasant when we make the announcement.
Now, do you think that that's the signal strength or frequency, or if you're talking about vibration, just for the sake of argument, what do you mean by that?
I believe that what she is talking about is the vibrational frequencies that you're supposedly able to create or generate in your head, for lack of a better word.
Right.
I know that when I used to do out of body, I didn't know anything about vibrations or anything like that. By the way, back then I was just dumb and learning how to do all this crap on my own. And there would be this. How I knew it was going to start, there would be this buzz or this hum, this whining thing, and apparently that's pretty common in a lot of deep state meditations that I've figured out over the years. But I do know that when you are doing creative visualization to meditate, that if you can actually visualize the different frequencies in your body as you move up and down, that it does seem to make it easier. Now, is that just your mind locking onto these things to do trivial and creating a pattern where you get bored and kind of start creating theta waves? I don't know, but something's happening. So I could definitely see where that's a definite possibility that you
Well, I
could.
was interested in it because the idea of vibrational frequencies is something that was brought up as far back as the beginning of the UFO, the flying saucer phenomenon. Bead Lane's Borderlands Research, what was it, Borderlands Science Research Association,
Yeah.
brought it up and actually sent a letter off to the FBI, which some people will use this document. It's called Document 6751, and they'll say, "See, the FBI had proof all along that it's interdimensional. That what happens is they vibrate according to their frequencies, and they either materialize or dematerialize based on those frequencies." And they'll say, "See, the FBI had this information from the beginning." The FBI, I hate to break it to you, has so many things in that UFO file. It's not even funny at this point.
Yeah.
including some mad scientist idea that we could, set up a base on the moon to shoot rockets from.
That's right.
It's
That's a
great
fact.
stuff, you know.
Yeah, that's
Um,
100%.
and a lot of them contradict one another. But okay, since you mentioned vibrational frequencies, right? What's the possibility that Mead Lane was correct and that you could travel interdimensionally by changing your frequency?
Yep.
I'm asking.
I can't disprove it. That's about all I can answer with that one.
So
Have
if
I-
that's the case, and then you're dealing again with electromagnetism, you're going to need some sort of strange matter that holds that portal stable for you and keeps you free from the harmful effects at the other end, which is not really a big problem for somebody that's going through the tunnel. It's really a problem for somebody at the other end. It's kind of like a shotgun effect for somebody at the other end. You're just it actually the way they describe it is it's more or less the tunnel moves around you.
Yeah.
You're kind of stationary. You don't really feel the effect if it's like that inertial dampeners in Star Trek,
Star Trek.
because otherwise spaghettification occurs.
Sure.
Nobody wants that.
Sure.
That's not how I want to end up at the other end. I don't want it. It's the Play-Doh not so fun factory. Nobody wants that to happen at the other end of the portal, right?
Yeah.
So if you could somehow find a way to lock onto that frequency, if you could do it naturally, then there's always the possibility you can do it artificially. You just got to figure out how to get the math down, for lack of a better
and that's the whole thing, is
Bigfoot an astromech? That's a good question.
That's really
okay. Is Bigfoot there really just to do their computations? I'm not mocking. I'm literally asking.
I mean,
how weird my mind works if I'm trying to look at every last angle of a particular situation.
I'm on deck with you, Tony. Like I do the same thing with my brain when I look at a lot of this stuff. You have to be over analytical.
Right. You eliminate what's impossible, or at least very, very, and whatever's left, improbable, no matter how improbable, is probably closer to the truth. I'm not going to give Sherlock Holmes that much credit. It's not always the truth what you come up with, but if you're going to be honest in these investigations, and like I said, I'm probably a lot more skeptical than you guys are, even, but I'm cheerfully skeptical. I'd like to be wrong, but you have to look at every single angle of it. I brought that electrical ghost thing to you guys online, and I think I solved it. But I told Ron there's aspects I can't quite grasp. But I had to look at: is it demons? Is it a ghost? Is it extraterrestrials? Is it extra dimensional incursion? Some kind of field effect from magnetism? Was it fallout from underground nuclear testing?
Right.
I looked at all this stuff, lined up dates. Just everything I could think of, trying to figure out, was it faulty wiring in the house? Well, okay, that doesn't explain why the house was shaking for 3 hours, and only that house. So you kind of have to go through a host of things to go, what was happening here? And this one, again, by the way, is another one of those where I say that I want to believe, but in this case, I don't. Because this one was a lot more like poltergeist, and anytime there's some sort of entity after children, I'm not for it. I'm just not. That's terrifying.
Now, Brandy brings up another end on this. Like, what if it is just your consciousness that is? Producer Larry Hose in the house, keeping it free for eons to come. Thank you, my brother.
That is completely what I'm getting at. As far as this whole extra dimensional travel and whatnot, out of body experiences, all that, vibrations. To me, and that's what I said years ago, it's like that's why I came to the conclusion at one point that some of these abduction/contact experiences were not physical in nature, because they exhibited the exact same thing that had been demonstrated time and time in these out-of-body type states. Right. So that is non-physical. So then we have to deal with consciousness. We don't even know what consciousness is. Let's be real. So
right, and that's a diehard skeptic would say, "Oh, so it's all in your head," and I'm like, "Sir, you're the one who says, 'I think, therefore I am.'
Yeah,
don't dismiss it that quickly. Okay,
So,
your consciousness is essentially who you are. So if you're traveling in your consciousness, that's no less legitimate than traveling physically, but we just don't understand it as well. We're in the vehicle.
Right. We're in the
Now,
vehicle.
I have a question for you, Tony. I don't know if you've heard about my personal experiences, but I've had two that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Where the first time
it was demons.
right?
Sorry.
It has to be right.
Sorry, I had to get that Baptist out of me real quick. All right, go ahead.
Pat says that I hate
Baptist speaks.
So the first one was shortly after I moved into, or no, it was right after my wife and I got married. So it was a couple years after I moved to Hurricane. I got home early from work and I took the trash out. And while I was taking the trash out, I saw my wife drive down the driveway, waved at her. She didn't wave back at me. So I thought something was wrong. She was mad. And I was like, she's had a bad day at work. I'll just go figure out what this is later. And then I go back to the house and, you know, I say hi to her again. She's sitting on the couch, doesn't respond. And I'm like, okay. Because she does this thing where whenever she gets mad or upset, like she just will not talk to anybody. She's got to process all that so she doesn't blow up and get angry. And so I just assumed this is what that was. So I go and I change clothes and then I come back out of the bedroom and she screams at me, "Oh my God, where'd you come from?" Because she had no recollection of me walking by her, me walking by in the living room, none of that. And then there I was. I had changed clothes. The trash had been taken out. And yeah, so it was weird. But what happens here is there was a fair amount of time that had passed. I had gotten home at around 1:30 or so, 2:00, somewhere in that ballpark. She didn't get off school until 3.
Okay.
So I get home, take the trash out immediately. And because it was one of those things where, you know, if you have a chicken carcass in the trash from the night before and then come back, it smells like absolute death. You got to get it out, one of those deals. So
right.
I was like, get rid of this thing now. And so when I was walking out, that happened immediately, but she drove by me. So there was time missing. Okay. Then later, a couple years later, right after we purchased the house here where we're currently living, I was outside doing some yard work in the front flower bed. And I was actually, you know, I'm just wearing a pair of gym shorts and my work boots and work gloves because it was about 90 degrees out. And so I'm out there in all my majestic, glorious man fur. And then I hear out of nowhere a vehicle parked beside me. And it was the post office vehicle. Like I didn't hear it drive up. Suddenly it was right beside me. And I hear my gate slam shut. I have a wooden gate that's spring loaded. I hear the gate slam shut and I pop up because like, I don't recall anybody pulling up on me. I'm not wearing headphones. I'm not the type of person that listens to music or stuff whenever I'm working. And then all of a sudden the lady, the male lady screams out, "Where the hell did you come from?" And I yelled back at her, "Where did you come from?" And I was like, "I've been right here for like the last couple hours. I started over there and been working over here." And she was like, "Oh my God, you scared the crap out of me." And then we went on with that. Now later that day, I had an absolute nauseating headache. But those two events happened. Have no idea what happened in the intermediary. I do know that Ron did a mild regression with me on the first one, and I remember seeing everything, but it wasn't the way I remembered it. I remembered seeing like all this fog, and I was actually walking through the parked cars and not walking around them. And then when I went up the steps, I basically levitated up the steps like an elevator instead of walking up the steps. So I mean, that was kind of weird.
Right.
Those technically, like I was, at least for the second one, I was doing an activity and then was not present. Like I apparently had disappeared. I would have had to gone deaf because it's you know what the USPS vehicles sound like. They got that tuk, 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 tuk. And it didn't drive up on me. She was like, it was just right there. All of a sudden I could just hear it.
Well, I mean, a couple things come to mind immediately. One is you do have to take into account that your mind does this thing where it goes on autopilot.
Yeah, it does.
Now you drive down a road and like you
Yep.
don't remember like the last 2 hours, which is kind of alarming when you think about it because you made so many turns.
Yeah.
You know, your mind does have this tendency to go on autopilot, so that's possible. But if we take the idea that if we just take it at face value and it's not something like that, or that you weren't suffering from mild sunstroke because you had that headache and nausea, if we take it at face value, then you have to ask yourself, did you mentally slip out and then have the ability to kind of move yourself out? Is that what you're asking? Or is that what
Well, no. Like I'm just asking in general what you think of those two different scenarios, because the first one didn't involve a heat stroke; it was actually in the colder weathers. But the
right?
one,
And I was just saying the for the
yeah,
one
but
for
the
the
one where I
headache.
was outdoors and in the heat, yeah. But then that doesn't explain her reaction either.
No, it doesn't. I mean, a lot of people, I think, underestimate just how quiet and sneaky big people can be because I get that a lot. Um, and you're a large mammal also, so I know
Right.
you understand that, you know. But no, I mean, I don't know in those cases. I've often wondered because I am a dreamer. I am a very imaginative person, despite being as skeptical as I am. Um, you know, I write stories, I explore worlds. You know, I've been writing stories about monsters and UFOs, or you know, actual accounts, investigations of monsters and ghosts and UFOs and aliens and that sort of thing. But really, I like sci-fi and fantasy.
Sure.
I like to imagine things. So, you know, one of the theories that was out there early on from people like Tolkien and whatnot is that imagination and storytelling is a form of subcreation. And he went so far as to say, with you know the idea of mythopoeia, that you actually can transport yourself off to another world, that you're physically, you know, you know, he meant, of course, but he goes, you physically are there, and they have proven that your memories of like things like books and movies and video games and those experiences are just as vivid in your brain as an actual experience.
Yeah.
That you actually, it
You
has a
relive it.
concreteness to you, as alarm going off, concreteness to you as far as your memories and how real it was as those fantasy things. So if we take it a step further and we run it a little bit, you know, maybe you did in fact transport yourself somewhere else.
Well, see, like now I don't have any memory of anything going on, anything
Right?
in the train, like because all
No,
I
and I'm
remember is
not
doing the
saying
work.
that's the thing. People always say it has to be, think it has to be dragons or whatever, right? A lot of our fantasies are just about day to day things.
Yeah.
How many times have you dreamed that you're just like walking somewhere, or you're just in a mall and you can't find the exit or whatever? You know, that sort of really mundane sort of dream. You know, and daydreaming is like the danger part here. Seems to be for you anyway. Um, you know, where you just kind of like, you know, you just kind of like, and it's part of, we all have to do it. I mean, you have to imagine how it's going to look so I can figure out what I need to do, the task at hand, that sort of thing. That people forget is a form of imagination. That ability to visualize is very important to make any kind of plan. And people that don't do that, I know them. I have two of them. I call brothers. So they don't put any kind of forethought into what they're doing, you know. But
Yeah, it was just those were just two really strange phenomena
yeah,
where it seemed almost like to the letter carrier, to the post office lady. I didn't exist. I wasn't there. She didn't see me when she pulled up because she would have actually, she parked, the vehicle was parked right beside me. She would have had to almost touch me
right. And I mean,
to walk by me.
devil's advocate, because it was definitely demons. You know, maybe you
Right?
weren't there. Maybe you weren't. Maybe you did, in fact, visualize what you're doing so hard that you went to an alternate version of that. You know, the things
Yeah,
that
I
I
was,
found
I was,
odd
I
in
was,
the
what I
first
was
story
doing
was
was
that
rooting out
every
poison
time
ivy. I was
you
ripping out
saw
roots of
her,
poison ivy.
she wasn't an active, interactive. You said, well, maybe she was mad, you know, but she wasn't active. She was just like she might. You could have substituted her for a mannequin. You know,
Yeah,
piece
it
of
was
furniture
weird,
in that
weird
particular
happenings. And
scenario.
like I don't know if it was portal related. I don't know if it was because I mean obviously I didn't disrupt and destroy the environment when I came back to whatever, but
Right.
yeah, it was strange. It was really strange, and the fact that it's happened twice that I'm aware of is what's really because Kelly has absolutely no recollection of the first encounter, like the first time that happened, not necessarily an encounter, but the first time that happened.
Well, I mean,
She just
turn the
remembers me
tables.
walking out of the bedroom wearing my, normal clothes instead of my
Right.
work uniform.
I don't know. And you know what? I'm smart enough to know that I don't know. Yeah, were you in the middle of a fairy ring? That's a good
It,
question.
not that that's something that I would recognize because like we do have mushrooms that grow out here because there's
Right.
several dead trees that had been mulched and that's what
Right,
had
but I
turned
mean,
into the
that's the
flower bed.
stereotypical idea of because we know that mushrooms grow along in those lines for
Right, they do. Yeah, the
biological reasons.
mycelia, the way they fruit.
But
Yeah.
not all fairy rings were made of mushrooms back in the day. Sometimes they were stone paths. Sometimes they were flattened fields of grass. That's why I liken them to crop circles now,
Right.
because
Gotcha. Okay.
they weren't always mushrooms. That's what we think about now.
That's a good point.
You know,
Well, I do have a clip that we can show Joe of one of our incidents, um, if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to put that over here on present. Hopefully, it'll let you guys hear the audio. If it doesn't, bear with us. I will get it transcribed and out onto a shareable format soon because when we get the computer back. Right now, all I can do is a share screen, and it may or may not.
So while
allow
we're
us
working
to
on
hear
that,
the
do you think
video.
dream walking is kind of like a portal?
well, in the scenario that I brought up to you, the what if that I brought up to you, it is.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Are you, in fact, according to Tolkien, that's the guy who wrote the Lord of the Rings. Yes, that guy.
Mhm.
Are you actually transporting yourself to that world? Well, for all intents and purposes, even if you're not leaving your body, you're going somewhere so real that your brain logs it the same way that your real life memories, the ones that you consider reality, are logged. Hey, that's wrong.
Hey, it's
Oh,
me.
so this footage is almost a year old now,
Yeah, it is. This was in June of last year. So I'm
and
going
this
to
is
see if we
something that
can-
you guys have never seen before.
Nope, this has never been seen. And if it doesn't, if you don't get to hear the audio, if the audio doesn't work, we'll act it out for you. But just watch the looks on our face, and we'll tell you what's going on here.
Kind of want the audio not to work now.
I know, right? You just never know with this thing. So let's see. I'm going to hit play here.
So here, this is footage from an investigation that Ron and I were doing. It was actually to. Oh, no audio.
No audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is weird. That's what you just said right there. And yeah, it was weird. What happened there was we had been out investigating an area, and we were looking for this area again to come back because we'd taken some readings there, and it was kind of weird. It was some weird
Yeah.
readings. There was a bunch of kind of dead trees in the area and whatnot. And I was like, well, let's just go back over there and kind of check that area again. I want to see what the levels were, really, so we could document it down, right? And you saw how hard it was raining. It was pouring down the rain. I mean, that path was practically flooded in places. And we were walking very slow. We never found that spot again. It was
Yeah,
Right. It was right in front of us, and we ended up. Probably half a mile down from where we thought we were in a matter of was it 4 minutes? Is that what I counted? 4 or 5 minutes?
Yeah, it
something
was
like that.
5
I
minutes
don't
that we
remember.
walked a mile.
Yeah, something like that.
That is what a very, very fit person runs a mile in. And I used to be that person once upon a time, but now that person it basically wears me like a jacket.
Well,
So
the amount of rain,
I don't run a 5-minute mile anymore.
it was just pouring down the rain, and we weren't running. That's for sure.
No.
We were barely walking, and we were pretty tired at the time, as I recall. But and it was getting late, and it was just pouring down the rain, and I remember we came across that checkpoint, and I'm like, wait a minute. And that's what you saw in the video, because I started recording as soon as we came across that checkpoint. I was like, wait a minute, this is not right. We shouldn't be here. And yet we were there. And to this day, we still can't quite explain what happened out there, as far as it goes with that. It remains one of the strangest physical things. I mean, I wouldn't call it missing time. I don't know what I call that. Not sure what I would call that. It was very strange, is what I'm saying. And I don't have any explanation for that whatsoever. And we've thrown everything at it at this point. It's been a year. We've thrown everything at it.
It was one of the strangest events that we've had while we've been out, and that's saying something.
Yep, because we've had some strange events. It's
It-
even stranger than, the possible thing that happened there at Wineberry, as far as I'm concerned.
So
I don't know.
what
Yeah,
do you
me
guys, Tony? What do you think about that particular instance that we? I mean, I know the audio didn't share there, but
Where's Brandon?
what do you kind of make of that? I know that's you didn't get the full. We haven't briefed you on all of that just yet, so it's
Right.
kind of new to you.
So the you couldn't find the spot, and then it just kind of morphed into place. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, we first
found
walked
it.
out there, and
Yeah, walk me through it, because
and where we walked to and found the spot, there was this large area of blighted trees,
right.
and they were all around the same age. They were younger trees, and they all died.
Where's Brandon?
And then we walked out probably quarter mile past it, and went out to where the
There you are.
towers were, the power lines and whatnot.
Right.
And then when we were walking back to go back to that area, we tried finding it and couldn't find it again. And then while we were trying to find that exact area, we wound up moving over a mile in 5 minutes.
And there's only one path. You couldn't.
Yeah, there's one path. You can't not
That's it.
walk by it's a utility road.
So you were able to clock it.
Yeah, when Ron went back
It's
and did the
timestamped.
video, and he
Right.
timed the video in the map,
Right.
like the G, because like we know exactly where the towers were, and we know where the benchmark was. We moved from the towers to the benchmark in 5 minutes.
It was right up 5 minutes, I think. It wasn't
And-
very much time at all. And to be walking as slow as we were, there's just no way that's
Yeah,
gonna
because we were walking and observing, like we were doing, when we go out and we do research, we don't particularly run through an area.
Right.
Like we stop and we look and we stop and walk, and then we'll stop
when
and
it's
we observe.
raining,
Like
it's,
we start
you know,
looking for different things. We'll stop and we'll gather readings. Like we're gathering a
Right.
baseline,
Okay.
Yeah, and when it's pouring down, we're walking even slower. So
Yeah.
I
I mean,
don't know.
just from
I don't know.
I mean, how many times have you heard Spock say temporal anomaly?
I-
Right.
Like I said, we are not on a stationary rock.
Yeah,
We're not on a pancake. It is round.
it was weird, man.
And it is corkscrewing. It's spinning.
Corkscrewing.
It's corkscrewing through space at
That's right.
ridiculous speeds. So, yeah, could you hit a patch of something that makes you go a little bit faster physically? Yeah, you could.
It's
And it
definitely
wouldn't
demons.
feel any different to you, though, is the thing.
Yeah.
It would not feel any different at all. And
Well, no,
kinda
it did
goes
not feel
along
like
with
we-
the idea
No.
of people
No.
walking into fairy circles or whatever you want to call it. And then Rip Van Winkling, and 50 years later, here they show up. And you're like, oh, wow, you really should be like my great grandfather's age, and you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
So-
weird, man. I
And
honest
that's
to goodness-
terrifying. Let me put a limiter on that. That's terrifying.
Yeah. Well,
Just
we're
the
still trying
idea
to-
that you could be subjected to, it's a very Lovecraftian thing, but it's just time.
Yeah.
That M. Night Shyamalan wrote that or had that film about getting older just in this one little spot. And I think there's a sci-fi film out there where they fall into a cave and time is just flying by outside the cave, and they're like, "Oh, this is horrible." If those sorts of things are possible in little pockets, then count yourselves lucky that you only got there in 5 minutes instead of
Yeah, agreed. That's where I'm getting at. It's like, the data doesn't lie. It happened, and
Now you
having
calibrated everything though, right? Because that's the only time the data does lie, right?
the
Okay, if you don't
data.
calibrate everything, data does lie at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was weird, man. It was really weird. Like I said, it's one of those things. You look at the,
Because the camera was running the whole time.
Right.
y-
Okay.
that's the weird part. It's like I would stop and take the shots, and when I take the shots, it GPS located us and it time stamped it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got all that data, and then when I played that data back, I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and
at
that
all.
area that we were looking for, like we completely did
Oh, no.
not hit it. We knew
The
what
best
side of the
part.
road it was on.
The best part about that, the actual thing when we first saw it, videoed it, documented that little part, it's gone. It's not there. Doesn't exist. Never. Don't have a
So you weren't
picture.
ever able to get a GPS for that one.
Nope. Don't have a picture
Uh-uh.
of it.
That's what I was going to ask next. Okay.
Don't have a picture of it. Nope.
Well,
So
that widens the mystery, doesn't it?
It does,
Yeah.
but like, and physically, I know where it should be. Like, I know this area like the back of my hand,
Right.
and physically, I know where this area should be, and I should be able. I should, in theory, be able to take us right back to there right now in the dark, even, and be able to put us where we were.
Yeah, I won't be going
And
back.
then
in the
we
dark.
walked because it was a 1/4 mile walk to the power lines from that spot, and I know exactly where the power line cuts at. And yeah, it's just
Well, what? There's Larry.
yeah,
I mean,
it's weird, man. And then on the walk back, that whole section doesn't exist.
Yeah, it apparently happens. I mean, that's the weird part. And like I said, we shot this around. We played with it. We were like debating whether to even share it with anyone.
Yeah.
But on the whole thing of well, we got to share it because everybody else is sharing their stuff. There's the data. You do with it what you want. I don't know what happened. If you've got an idea, wonderful. I'm pretty sure it wasn't demons, but
How do you know?
I don't
How do you know the
Just saying,
demons
I don't
were
think it was.
spiriting you along?
I don't
Okay,
think it
I
was
mean,
demons.
where did those shoes that you're wearing even come from? Who manufactures them? I'll tell you, the demons. Demons manufactured your shoes. That's how you ended up going so fast.
So Larry says, I almost had the same exact thing happen while hunting in Alaska, walking back out and ended up further back than where we turned around. I mean, that's wild.
I mean, how many times does this happen? Because we never really talked about it, like I said. So we never really got anyone else to, their opinion on it. This is the first time it's ever been even talked about publicly. So congratulations, you've witnessed another one of the first. This is why you need to subscribe to the show. You need to make sure that you follow us because things like this happen.
And everybody that's out there watching right now, if y'all could go and smack that like button.
Smack it. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe because we're still sitting at the same number, which is good.
Yeah, we're at 25 likes, and there's at least 30 of y'all watching. 35 now. We had up to
come on.
44, I think,
can
at
do
one,
better
and
than
like
that.
in the visual that was like engaged.
Yeah.
If you get it to 30, Brandon won't shave again for a while.
Is
Okay,
that right? Yeah,
that was terrifying.
it is.
That was
But I'll
awful.
tell you this though, for real, if we get
Was
to
for me, too.
2,000, if we get to 2,000 subs by spring, we're going to do a giveaway. That's what I'm shooting for. So if you guys can get it out there, do it.
Ashley Hill says, I abused that like button, and that's what I like to hear, Ashley.
That's right.
Tommy Swigger says, Daryl Denton's Bigfoot story that happened to him, he said that he had been running for his life but kept coming back to the same spot. That almost sounds
I
like a
hate those
dream.
stories. That makes you think you're in a dream. But
Yeah,
don't you do that a lot in a dream where you're like
the
you're
treadmill effect.
running and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm still in the same spot, and that thing's gonna eat me.
Wow. That's that one Star Trek episode.
That's
time loop,
just,
you know.
you're always hopeful that it's a Star Trek episode and not a Doctor Who.
Oh, there we go. We're up at 31 likes now on the video.
There you
Thanks,
go.
guys. Y'all are awesome.
Love it. Thank you guys. Brilliant. You're listening. You're paying attention, which means that everybody here is subscribed. So that's awesome too. And that's one of the great things about the people here, our wild weirdos and weirdettes out there who are listening and viewing and all that stuff. I know I went over and looked at the actual data there the other day, and it basically says that we get a pretty good return on our subs. Like the people who sub, they come back. So
Yeah.
if we can get you to subscribe, you're coming back. That's what I'm saying. That's why I keep saying subscribe, become part of the family, so to speak. I swear it's not a cult, even though. Adam
Really,
thinks it
you
is.
got that picture of Adam Good,
Adam thinks
and
it's
you're
a
going to
cult.
tell me
It's not a
Fake
cult.
cult.
It's not a cult. That's just a little fun with Adam.
don't drink the Flavor Aid, kids.
No, don't do that.
Anyway,
Don't do that. Don't.
yeah, I did a deep dive into Jim Jones the other day, and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh my
gee.
God,
Oh
man.
Lord.
why,
we
why?" And I
touched
figured
that.
out how you got him
Do
to
you
drink
need to
Kool
talk?
Aid. Did you hear about that?
What
He
is it?
literally just had him practice it on these white nights, like
Wow.
over and over. He would just give them Flavor Aid because he was too cheap for Kool Aid, and would tell them that it was laced with poison, and they would drink it to show their faith. And after you've drank it for the 14th time, you kind of assume there's going to be nothing in it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how he did it. That's a
Mhm.
sick man.
You got that right.
That's definitely a cult leader. Jeez.
Brandy says time dilation.
Time dilation.
Time dilation, yeah.
Mm,
That's actually a noted phenomenon. It's based on gravity in most cases, and that's one of the things I was saying. We don't know what sort of temporal effects you're running into the woods because literally gravity can have that effect. Now, usually it's more pronounced in like higher places versus much lower places, right? Usually you
Yeah.
don't see a lot of variance in a plane that's basically the same, but we're in the Appalachians, so we get to do that sort of thing sometimes. So that begs the question right there: what sort of terrain were you traveling on?
Yeah. Ashley says we covered Jim Jones on the podcast once. The audio of that last meeting was awful.
Oh yeah.
And
Gosh, yeah, I had to turn that off like 3 times.
when we did our episode with that man, that was probably one of the only episode that we've done that I was just like, I really don't want to do this again.
Right.
No, we
It's like
just-
like I said, you watch something and you're like, I'm glad I watched this because it's food for thought and it gives me
Yeah.
some insight. But am I ever going to watch that again? No, I am not.
No,
Yeah,
we
don't
just
look up
touched
pictures
on
of the bodies either.
No, we just touched up on it during the whole that one episode we did with the UFO cults.
Seeing all those dead kids really got me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
and that's how they got everybody, on the hook there
Right.
at the end because
Yep.
once they saw their kids were dying, a lot of them were just like, and
Well,
honestly, I mean, he's like shooting anybody who doesn't. He's forcing people to take. It's horrible.
Yeah, they
Certainly not the sort of thing you want to read right before you go to bed. I'll tell you that right now.
Definitely.
But
they
that
were
brings
good.
up a good corner. At least Adam would not skimp on us. He would actually buy the real Kool-Aid.
I believe that.
I think
believe
he might.
that.
There were a few of
Maybe
them.
wine
Actually.
coolers. Maybe we could, or
Yeah.
beer.
So let's move on from the cult talk there, guys. This is
Yeah, that's depressing. Now
It's
you were saying
depressing.
something earlier about vibrational frequencies,
Yeah.
and that's something that Hynek. He was asked this question by Jacques Vallée. Jacques Vallée literally asked, "What other wild hypotheses could we make?" And Hynek was like, "Well, there could be other universes with different." This is back in 1975, mind you.
Yeah.
To read this because it's fascinating. It's right on par. When you were saying, I was like, "There's something in the back of my brain," and this is what it was. There could be other universe with different quantum rules or vibrational rates, if you want. Our own space-time continuum could be a cross-section through a universe with many more dimensions. This is before we came up with the brain hypothesis, by the way.
Oh wow.
Think what a hard time you would have convincing an Aborigine that right now, through this room, TV pictures are passing, which is true. I mean, those signals are bouncing off all of us right now. Yet they're here. You have to have a transducer to see them, namely a TV set. Well, in the same sense, there may be interlocking universes right here. We have this idea of space. We always think of another universe being someplace else, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's right here. Just like cell phone signals bounce through us all the time right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But you can't pick it up unless you pick up your cell phone and you have internet. You know,
Sure.
you have to, but you know, it doesn't mean that they don't exist when the phone's taken away. No matter what I tell my youngest child when I take away his phone, the internet's still there. You just don't have any access to it.
Hey, let me tell you guys something I just read that Burleson said earlier today, and it's not crazy.
That's funny.
Oh, demons.
Uh-oh.
Demons.
Some
Uh-oh.
podcast that he was on asked him if he knows if the committee's spoken to any more whistleblowers, and he said, "I do know, I just can't speak of it."
They can never
Surprise.
speak of it. My only problem with most of the whistleblowers right now is I remember Doty, and I don't trust an ex intelligence officer as far as I can throw him. I just don't.
But you know who I do trust?
The
I do
cynical
trust
part
Big
of me is
Weavy
like,
down there. Big
yeah.
Weavy's in the house, guys. What's going on, brother? Good to have you
Big
back in
Weavy?
the on the show with us, man.
Big Weeby.
Big Weavy dropped in on us a few months back,
Hadn't
and
seen you for a while.
and he good dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah, I remember that. But you know, I just have a hard time trusting the word of people who have been trained in this, and this is what they do. I mean, Doty right now is saying, "Why don't you trust me?" And I'm like, I wonder why. Real. Why are you
Right.
offended by it? Seriously, why would you expect us to trust you now? You know, you drove a man insane to the point where he killed himself. That's where I draw
100%.
my
Yeah,
line.
yeah,
Draw
right.
anything, you know.
See, that's an episode that I would love to cover and go in depth with that,
Mhm.
because it's such a sad
Oh, no,
story,
it definitely is.
especially towards the end there.
Yeah, he thought he was on to something, and
Yeah.
Doty started feeding him things to the point where, I mean, his paranoia went way up the scale.
It's easy
And
to
then
do, man.
and then what kills me is somehow like this man still stayed relevant in the UFO community to current day.
Right. You see him a lot of times on that, what is it, Disclosure Today,
Yeah.
Disclosure. And I'm like, why are you even entertaining this guy?
Yeah.
He's lost all credibility. You know, you won't listen to Bill Moore, who admitted he was being fed information by him, but you'll listen to Doty himself.
Right.
Explain that to me. And yes, I'm
The
making
rationale's
mistakes.
just not there.
What? Yeah, you're
And-
that's not good.
And it's, I would like to be altruistic and think about it in the way that, how Hynek kind of rolled over on his original theories
right. Yeah.
at the end, that Doty was just kind of like, what I did was wrong. And this is kind of his way of like a path of repentance, so to speak.
But he's not very repentant, is he?
No.
mean, listen to him. His attitude is like, I don't understand why you guys don't believe me. I'm on your side now. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you're kind of pushy about that.
Yeah, he really
And
is.
What you did was heinous.
So
you
Brandy
pushed
brings up
the guy
remote
that far.
viewing.
Yeah. What's that?
And then Big Weavy said he'd like to come up sometime, jump on the show, man. That'd be fun. We'll get you something scheduled. That'd be a fun show.
Yeah, they let anybody on here.
This guy right here, he's proof and point.
So what
Yeah,
about
they found me in the backyard. Yeah.
so what about remote
Nobody's fed
viewing?
me yet.
What do you mean by that, Brandy? What do you want to know? It's real. Other
Like,
than
would
that,
remote viewing be considered like a portal?
I don't think
Right. I mean,
so. I mean, would it?
Not really. I mean, but like I said, what's the real difference as far as going to a different world? I mean, it's almost semantical. If we think, therefore we are, and consciousness is what we really are, and the body is just kind of a shell we inhabit, or the robot machine that we're kind of in, the meat package, then what is the difference between traveling in your mind and traveling with your physical body? Except just as a medium. It's the difference between walking down the street or swimming through the ocean. It really is just a substrate. I'm sorry, that might be a little too deep philosophically at this point, but essentially it's the same basic thing, especially, like I said, because your brain records them equally. I mean, the memories of you playing your favorite video game are equal in your brain to you having that day that you spent at the amusement park with your family or whatever.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, if we use 100% of our brain, we can travel anywhere.
No, you can't. because if you'll be using 100% of your brain, you won't have the ability to drive. You just be using all just your brain, and then you'll end up like that spice lizard thing that shoots lasers out of its orifices and makes the ships go jump hyper. I'm sorry, I watched the old Dune again. I shouldn't do that over again. What the
I
heck
haven't,
was that creature?
They get big
Anyway,
doing
no,
some spice. It sounds like.
I'm not,
right.
I'm not sure which one Brandy's talking about there. She says that someone tested by the government, went to the dark side of the moon and took pics. I don't remember that one. I remember
Oh,
Monagle.
wait. That's not Montauk, is it?
Uh,
Please tell me it's not Montauk.
I don't
Well,
know.
she previously asked, "Has anybody watched JFKX?"
No, that wasn't.
No.
I haven't. I don't know if that is related to that comment or not.
Yeah, JFK. I'm not usually a conspiracy theorist, but man, goodness, there's a lot of suspect stuff there.
All right.
Well, the whole JFK thing, I don't think falls under conspiracy theory. I think that's just government fact.
No, it's conspiracy. It's which theory is correct. I mean, it's
True,
literally like that, or which bundle. The guy that was involved in Maury Island, for crying out loud, is involved in JFK. What's it? Oh my goodness.
Pat says if you use 100% of your brain all at once, that's called a seizure.
Well, I mean, he's right.
Not wrong, but also he's
man.
wrong on so many levels.
Man, did you guys ever watch that movie Hannah?
Yeah.
That movie aggravated the crap out of me because there was so much bad science in that movie.
Oh gosh, yes.
Well, I mean, just look at Star Wars lightsabers. Bad sign.
Hey,
Ah,
sacrilege.
Mm-mm.
I told you demons are involved with.
Yeah.
With this fellow.
No,
agree.
like I love Star Wars. It's one of my favorite universes. But like,
It's one of your favorite universes?
yeah, not the
See,
favorite because I have to
It's
say
not
the
even
Lord of
in
the
a
Rings
different
universe. is my
universe.
favorite.
It's in a galaxy far, far away. Get your
So-
facts straight, man.
Oh yeah, favorite galaxy. Yeah,
A
sorry.
demon would say
Galaxy.
that.
Come on, man.
We would
That was
expect a
supposed to be in
demon
ours.
to say that.
Gives me
So-
hope that space wizards will save us.
Yeah, probably. You probably
Oh,
replaced
man.
the demons. That's what I'm thinking.
Hey,
So
there
guys,
will be-
does anybody have any questions out there? Any more
Questions.
stuff that they want to ask? Any
Get
more
your questions on the
Yeah,
desk.
caveat: nothing about the Philadelphia experiment or Tecumseh or
Questions on the desk, kids.
Yeah, we did have
I-
that Philadelphia experiment comment come up earlier in the show.
Oh yeah.
So what it?
What is it?
Oh, what is it? What is it?
What is it?
Guys, hurry!
Let's see if you get it. Come on. You can
Facts
do
that aren't
this.
facts. We don't use our whole
You can do
brain,
this.
and we've explored more of space than we have the ocean.
You can do
Did that
this.
just trigger everybody?
That triggers me bad. Hey, listen, there are things in the ocean that could eat you definitely. Space just kills you because it's cold. Okay, and it's dark, and there's no atmosphere.
The
And
ocean is terrifying.
you'd think with all those stars, it'd be brighter,
Right?
right?
I mean, surely at this point they could use LiDAR to map the ocean, couldn't they?
Right. And by the way, space they technically might not be able to hear you scream, but they'll be able to see the agony on your face as you freeze to death.
Yes, as you go down, and the blood vessels popping.
That's
They're-
the one thing that always bugged me with
Super
Star
fun.
Wars was the explosions in space.
That's every space.
Oh, and the
marine-
fact that the ships go down every time
yeah,
it's space.
they go down instead of like spiraling just out into wherever.
They sink in space. It's great.
It's
know-
crashing in space.
And then you have like the Princess Leia moment where she's floating in space.
All right, we've got plus square bacon.
I always go with bacon.
I always
I'm
go
going
with
bacon, too.
You're going bacon. Anybody
I'd be
else?
disappointed.
Last calls.
I'm saying square.
Last call for rock out. No.
Okay. You ready? Here we go.
I got that dude in my head.
Y'all ready?
Woohoo!
Hey,
Psycho!
There you go.
Are you waking?
We got the
Oh.
bacon, guys. We got
Bacon.
bacon. Who else had
big
bacon?
pig. You can be a big pig too.
you go.
Bacon.
There it is. Look at that. Everybody. All right. Good job, guys. That was awesome.
Sarah Ramsey, 8 of spades.
No, Sarah. Wrong.
These are
game.
Zinner cards. So
Ace.
Sarah
Rolling
hasn't been
ace.
with us since we started the Zinner card stuff. So explain that real quick.
Oh, Really?
It's the first
I
time
didn't know
Sarah's
that.
been in the house in a little over a month, I think.
Oh gosh. Well, Sarah, we started using Zenner cards here not too long ago because it's just a little fun thing I used to do back in the day in my youth when I used to test people with Zenner cards. You know what Zenner
Yeah,
cards
you
are.
and Bill
There's a
Murray.
circle. There's a circle. There's a plus. See. There's a wavy lines or bacon as these people like to call it. There's a star. There's a square. And is that all? Yeah, I think it's all. There's only 5. Yeah, that's it. There's only 5. So yeah, your average on this thing is about 5 rights out of 25 during a test, and typically that's about right. But every now and again, we'll get somebody who scores a statistically high average. But we've been pulling these out here just every now and again around the middle of the show, end of the show, since about what 3 or 4 episodes back, something like that.
Yeah, about 4 episodes back, I think it is.
Yeah, and we're just kind of seeing if the group, has the ability to actually remotely see this. Well, what's really weird is the people who are starting to see it are the people who really know. That's weird.
Big Weedy, I just threw up our email
concerning.
address down there below. It's wildandweirdwv@gmail.com. That is how you reach out to us.
I'm late to the party. Hope everyone had a fun night. Lana, we always have a fun night. I mean, boy, do we have a fun night.
Oh, Lana Cat, I'm late to the party.
Yeah.
It's all right, Lana. Don't worry about it. It's all good. You can go back and catch a replay. Just go smash that like button.
This was a total Seinfeld episode. It was about nothing. We didn't discuss anything heavy at all. It was very light.
Definitely wasn't
fluffy.
portals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't
There's not a whole lot of
portals.
science in this episode.
No,
There was not hardly any science in
You
this
won't learn
episode.
anything.
I
You
didn't
won't-
hear Ron discuss it
No.
once.
maybe, I don't know. Could have said something.
Really, I
Mostly-
mean, you could have at least thrown out more than a Star Trek reference. I mean, come
Nah.
on, man.
Nah, I'm letting you do that. You're good. We didn't even get into the whole, quantum entanglement. We didn't get into
We got into
singularities.
that. Okay, you're right. Okay, we're being sarcastic again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we didn't do any of that stuff. So,
No, of course not.
nope. Einstein Rosenbridge.
Superposition? Did we
I don't know what that
discuss
is.
superposition?
I don't think so.
Technically, we did Schrodinger's cat. Never mind.
Yeah, so kind of we did, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So we didn't do any of that stuff. So
No. Now,
No,
we didn't discuss what the interdimensional beings might be.
we need to do that before we
Demons.
go. Would you quit?
What?
So
It's a
contrary to
possibility.
popular belief,
They don't have
Um,
pitchforks.
okay,
It's more like one of those rotisseries
yeah,
forks as for a barbecue. It's not.
okay, all right.
It's not
So-
hay they're after.
All right, so I'm seeing. Yeah, well, Pat actually brought up a really good point here. He said the gin, and
Okay.
well, I mean, let's look at everybody's saying demon, and again, I don't think they know what that word means.
No, they don't,
Um,
because when you say demon, most people are referring to the idea of Satan, which technically, according to Judeo-Christian belief, is
That's
a
not-
fallen angel.
Yeah,
So just an angel. A demon is supposed to be the spirits of the fellow who perished in the flood or something.
And
Yeah,
see,
that's it.
that's not even
Body
like
spirit.
that's more of a modern interpretation of that.
It
thing.
is, but
so what was the word daemon? Because isn't that it? Isn't that where the root is daemon? Isn't that where demon comes from, or is that something else I'm thinking about?
Well, the demon word didn't even exist in the texts that were
Right.
written.
Right, I'm talking about the
Next to-
actual like where we got the name demon. Didn't it? Doesn't it originate from something called like daemon or something like that? And it was like some kind of being.
well, the Latin word, yeah, that we use for it is that. But
is that it?
It's not. I mean, you're referring to the fact that demon and daemon are
Yeah.
very similar,
Yeah.
and one of them is more of a concept of your consciousness, and not
So the Greek word daemon means spiritual being or spirit.
there. There we go. Yeah,
So that is the root word for demon as it crosses over into English, but the problem is Damon is all. It doesn't have an evil connotation to it.
No, it's
Right.
just
In the
the
Greek.
evil connotation comes from context. So that if you're talking about something that's like causing a guy to go crazy and cut himself in a graveyard, and they have to cast those into a bunch of pigs, it's probably a bad thing. It's probably not like God's angels. It's probably the other guy's forces. So that's where the context comes from.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. If somebody like casts something like that into some of my bacon, I'd still serve it to you. I'll be honest with
You
you.
probably would.
I wouldn't even tell you.
That was a
Be
good
spicy, though.
question there. Put
So,
that back up.
what was the Hebrew term then that they used originally?
Oh, let's see. Hebrew.
Oh gosh.
We're talking about the New Testament. There, they're very rarely mentioned in the Old Testament. Is the problem?
They right.
Uh, I mean,
The
Satan is actually mentioned in the Old Testament, but it's mostly through allegory when you get past like the
Mostly,
serpent in the Garden of Eden.
I can't remember the word, but
Swamp
it's the
gas. I like that.
same word that's used like for breath. Essentially, I think it's like it's not Roth. It's it starts with an R though. I can't remember, but it means
Raphaim.
no. Those are giants.
Well, if it's not demons, it's giants. I mean, welcome to 2024.
Hey,
right.
Hey.
I'm just saying.
My
It's
big foot there. Right. No.
anyway. It just means breath or wind or like a breeze. That was the ancient Hebrew.
I'm trying to remember which word you might be referring to.
So Sarah is asking a good question. What is it when you can't guess cards, but you can tell someone something about a dead person that's correct?
Well, you mean what's it called? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Well,
so
what
you're
we
not
were doing.
telepathic.
Well, what we were doing there was sort of telepathy. Basically, you would be kind of like that. That's kind of like mediumship. So that's you're interpreting energy or visualizing energy or whatnot from a intelligent source or a seemingly intelligent source of some sort.
Space Diesel, we're glad you found us too.
Welcome. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. So you don't
Ashley
miss
says
this.
breath. See, swamp gas.
That's what she said.
So that you guys brought up a good point because like the Old Testament didn't really talk about Satan that much because back then the real evil were the other gods that Yahweh was at war with for that whole half of the book.
The real evil was humans.
Yeah.
Hey, Ron,
It's my
Big
call.
Weevy has had a recent thing that he encountered, and he'd like to come on the show and talk about the encounter here.
Okay.
So you want shoot us an email and we'll get that. Like we'll try to squeeze you in next week.
Shoot us a mail and we'll
or as soon as you're available.
Yeah.
Then he said, like, yeah, that's where he just said he'd like to tell the story.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I was wondering what you guys thought the interdimensional beings were because when I was thinking that electrical ghost,
I honestly
had to think like interdimensional ghost demon was actually brought up by the people involved, and they tended to use it they sort of conflated it with the idea of a ghost sometimes. It was a ghost with unfinished business, but it was a demon who possessed somebody at the same time. And some people believe that the extra dimensional that extra dimensional beings are really just aliens or something. So
Mario just subscribed.
There was the idea that they were the Darrow from the inner Earth back in the day. So what do you guys think that interdimensional beings really are?
I think that we have to also accept the possibility that we're dealing with a superior technology. That's what I think. And that we're interacting with that technology, and that sometimes we're out in the field and we pick up some of these strange radio signals and some of these strange, other measurable things that we may be actually catching, that, like I've said before, the wave, not necessarily the thing that's causing a wave, but the wave or the remnant of that technology.
See, when I gave the presentation, my pet theory has always been that we're not I'm not sure we're actually accurately interpreting what we see
Mhm.
Yeah.
correctly. I think that we're interpreting it according to what we know and maybe sort of what we expect and what our minds can put together, because our mind has that tendency to try to organize things. I alluded to the
Mhm.
idea that we try to find the purpose, the design, the function. We try to put things in nice little boxes. And there's a tendency for us to look at something in the sky or look at something in the forest and try to make sense of it as much as we can. And I wonder if our mind, a lot of this is done subconsciously too,
Yeah.
so I wonder if our minds is just like, okay, I don't know what that strange thing is, but here's kind of what I think it is.
Hmm.
And it glums some things on. And that's where one person might see an angel or
Yeah.
even a demon. Somebody else sees a shadow person or sees an alien. Where one person sees a Bigfoot out in the woods, maybe somebody else sees something slightly different, and that's because out in the woods, lots of things have been seen. We
Yeah.
tend to think of the Bigfoot and that sort of thing, but when I look at like all these old flying saucer things, a lot of times you see like these little 4-foot furry creatures, and or you see frog type people or this. And my question has always been, maybe our minds aren't quite understanding whatever
The
thing that we
signal.
see on the other side. Maybe it's
Mhm.
too Lovecraftian, whatever you want to put it, to
Oh,
where we just
think
have
you're
to
right.
put a handle on it with our brain so that we can sort of try to make some kind of sense of it. So maybe it's not
Exactly.
that we're seeing all these different things. Maybe it's just a translation error on the side of our brains.
Right.
Maybe we can't
We've
fully
talked about
understand
that.
it until we're in the spiritual form.
No, well, it's the interface, and I
Well,
think the
well,
interface is screwed up, is what I think. But
Yeah.
it's either screwed up or it's purposefully manipulated. I think.
Big Weevy's out there doing his thing again. He's got Mario Kaczynski's in the house
Thank you, Big
because Big
Weeby.
Weevy shared this live.
Hey,
Oh.
Mario's
Oh.
actually subbed now. That's awesome. Thanks, man.
awesome.
We
I s-
appreciate that. Space
s-
Jeezel's the same way.
space.
You guys are fantastic. Space Jeezel actually asked, have you guys ever
Yeah.
tried DMT?
No,
It tapped me into a different dimension. Very awesome experience. I have wanted to do that.
but I'm going to tell you some stories really quick though about that because no, I have not. I did have I have a good friend I used to play in the band with for years, and he was always he explained to me about it one time, and he's telling me literally the same thing that I've seen in out of body experience. Um, and it was that's one of the reasons I never did anything, by the way, because I never wanted to mess up the connection in here, and that was always a big fear for me. That if you did something, you could mess something up in there, and you never be able to get back into that frequency, so to speak. But what's really funny about that is he's describing the exact same thing. I have another friend who did ayahuasca. She's describes the exact same thing I've seen, which means to me that either A, we're all constantly hallucinating the exact same things, which is just absolutely mind blowing if that's the case, or there's something very real there that we're accessing on some
Yeah.
form of level, and that it has to do with altered, not so much an altered mind, but an altered state of consciousness, I should say.
Well, you got to be careful too with that stuff because remember
Hat
that's
man,
how
Hat
Aaron
man,
Rodgers
that's
became
right.
friends with the Hat Man was
Hat
after
man,
taking ayahuasca.
that's right. Hat man. No, thanks. I'm good.
The
I don't.
active ingredient, Tommy, for ayahuasca is
It's
DMT. That
two.
is what.
It's
Mhm.
two things, and what's
Right.
crazy about
Ayahuasca
that?
is a special cocktail, but
Well,
one of the things that
how did
causes
they
your
know to
brain
make
to
it?
do the thing.
How did they know to make it? This is the thing about that, and it
Yeah,
is a
you're right.
fascinating thing
I know where you're
because
going.
yeah, because if you take the one, it'll kill you. But if you mix them just right,
So that brings up another point. Like, who figured out that cow's milk tastes good? Like, what was that guy up to?
It was an older brother pranking his little brothers. That's all that was.
yeah, humans, man, humans.
Guarantee it. Cow tipping got boring. Thought of something else.
I can just think of like some dude from a village just like crawling under a cow and just like, oh, this tastes great.
That's called desperation, man. Okay, that dude was starving.
But yeah, what Weavy says here, you have to respect those kind of substances. It ties right back into what Ron said,
natives
where
did.
if ayahuasca is mixed incorrectly or those two substances are taken individually, they will kill you.
Yeah,
They're
that's the whole
poisonous. They're
thing.
toxic,
Yeah,
and you have to respect them. You can permanently damage yourself if you do these things incorrectly.
but who taught them? See, that's my thing. And it's like, did they just keep going out there and, well, that guy didn't make it. No, he.
Well, I
Oh,
mean, if you have enough little
he's still
brothers,
breathing. You know, if you have enough little brothers, is that what you just said?
Brandy says, I learned a lot about DMT from the Joe Rogan show. I mean, so many people have. Honestly, Joe Rogan is what made the DMT stuff mainstream.
Yeah, yeah, and was it Graham Hancock? Right.
And then Anita brings up that drugs give a shortcut to what folks like her and Ron have to do the hard way.
Yeah. The only thing about ayahuasca is, I honest to goodness, after reading the research and actually listening to it, it it maintains that stable gateway, that portal, so to speak, that we're talking about. Like, whereas we're going to go out and do an out of body experience, etc. We can be jolted out of that and come straight back and never go back into that again. But with this thing, you're there for hours.
Yeah, an
And
extended period of time.
yeah, that may not necessarily be a good thing, but
Without those chemical additives to relax these functions of our body to that extent, I think that's the main key to how it stays active. But Big Weavy goes back to saying the gods showed them. It's that
Well, there you go.
spiritual or ancient
you go.
astronaut theories
there
that
you go.
these beings taught mankind, here's how you mix it. That it wasn't necessarily, because I agree, I don't think that this was a trial and error thing. Like, hey guys,
No.
guess what? Both of these will kill us, but if we put them together, it's like Voltron. It instantly gets better. Like, they
Yeah.
didn't have that that kind of epiphany.
That
There
is
had
the
to be some
strangest
sort of
analogy on this show yet.
what is it?
That is the strangest analogy on this show yet.
You're
I mean,
welcome. I mean, it's yeah. That's a common analogy if you hang out with me, though.
Oh, Voltron is always an analogy. Okay.
Yeah, Voltron. Like,
But,
the more you put together, the better
you
it gets.
know,
Just like Voltron.
I think that you have to also look at the very real thing here, and that's that it was about preparation as well. Like, these people were doing this to get inspiration, probably to, why are the crops dying? What can we do for this? How can we appease this? And trying to get this help. They weren't just going out there and tripping and having fun. And we see that today at a lot of metaphysics, that there is that kind of a practice. It's about the mindset. It doesn't matter how you get there. As long as you've got the mindset, there's a chance that you can actually pull that kind of stuff off.
Then Brandy says fasting can do it too.
Yes.
Yeah, it can.
Yes,
That's
Brandy.
the way I
Yes.
always achieved it.
Yeah, that was when
Yes.
John the Baptist had his thing out in the wilderness, wasn't it? When
Yep.
he was just eating what was it, honey and
Locust and honey.
locust and honey. Yeah.
I love the Voltron reference. Absolutely, man.
Oh, you've been encouraged.
But yeah, guys, this is one of those things, and thanks for that that comment, Weavy. We appreciate that. He said this is one of his favorite channels on YouTube. It has substance. We try to keep things for anybody who's new. We try to keep things in a balanced form where we can be dead serious if the topic calls for it, but we also know how to kind of cut up and have fun.
Well, this
we're
is our
serious
show to
people.
I
have.
only know the latter part. I don't add anything scientific. I simply
And Tony, thank
kind of chaos. I'm here I am the trickster. That's my entire role. If you found some kind of benefit, you were just grasping for straws.
Mm-hmm.
There was no meat on that bone.
Tony, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. By the way, we've gone almost 3 full hours. It's a half an hour past our normal run.
Yeah.
And you've hung out with us, so thank you for hanging out with us, man.
And we picked up 3 new subs just in one show.
We
And
did.
That's
It's been good.
phenomenal, guys. That's awesome.
Oh man,
Guys, fantastic. I thank you all. Please, like I said, please share this out. Let's get it out there. We come back here every Thursday, and we have some really cool stuff. And every Friday at 8, we have the premiere of the actual podcast, which is, it's a little more scripted. It has a little bit more flavor to it. It's special this week because it was actually done live, and we couldn't mess up. So that was a lot of fun. I don't even remember what the topic was. Do you remember the topic? No, I do. It was actually Ashley will love it. Um, what was it? It was the cryptids. What did I call it? I can't remember what I called it. Oh well, you'll see
So,
tomorrow.
Pat says ayahuasca, the psychedelic speedball. You got to get your uppers, downers, screamers, and laughers balanced out
gosh.
just right.
Let me see what that episode was called. You think I'd remember?
Nancy, good night. Thanks for hanging out with us. I know this has been a long one. We've hung
Thank
out.
you,
We've
guys.
tapped into some of our West Coast audience.
Yes.
We still got to
Oh,
make that episode happen,
know.
man. Where we do the later
know.
episode to catch out the West Coast guys and
Yep.
give them a taste of wild and weird radio live.
We've got to do it. Cryptozoology versus pop culture tomorrow at 8 p.m. is
Oh.
the show.
That's
And
going to be good.
it is going to be good. It's going to be really good. We're going to have some fun with that one. And next week's show is going to be a time travel show. This is the one we were talking about. We've been talking about for a while, kind of hinting at. And we're going to have Mike, what is it? Rick Sicker? Is that his name? I can't remember his name. Rick Sicker?
Astrophysicist.
It's Mike Rixicker. He's actually a U.S. Air Force veteran, degree in simulation programming, and he's a baseball fan. You're going to find out why that's important later, because he'll be telling us about that. But Mike, he's been on Ancient Aliens. He's been on a few things actually, and it's all about time travel. And the way that he introduces the time travel subject is a little bit different than what you're used to. And I think there's a couple people here tonight who will very much want to hear that story.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it does deal with astral, non-physical travel, and it's very, very cool. And when I was reading some of the literature, I was like, "Holy crap! I understand what he's talking about," because I have journals here where I was kind of playing around with the same crap back then. It's just crazy. So it's amazing to me that we meet so many people who have done the same things. It's all validation. They're all validation, except for Tony. He's just a trickster.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just gonna own it. Okay, I am. That's it. I don't, like I said, I don't set out to debunk anything. I just I want to know the answer. So I'm willing to consider every angle.
You do, and I like how you do it. And there was a discussion today on one of the groups I was in, and they were talking about, well, they're talking about somebody. I won't say his name because you know who he is. He likes to just pretty much rip apart everything. He's a debunker, very famous debunker, I think you know. And basically, the difference between debunking and being a skeptic.
Right.
Well, it's okay to be skeptical. Debunking is when it just goes too far. That's when, you're demanding people believe this is what it is. I
Right.
said that's what it is, therefore that is what it is.
Right. And I think it's a natural reaction. I think it's just the other side of the pendulum, and it's equally wrong to, people that are credulous, that believe everything, or worse, are promoting things that are just dead wrong and will not see it any other way. And Miami Mall, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
Looking at you
I'm
so
with you.
bad. And anything by Jaime Maussan, I swear. Pain.
We almost made
Okay.
it through the whole episode without you talking about Masan. But
I know. And then there it came.
there
Yeah,
was.
there-
There was.
That's because he's got another one coming out here very soon where he's going to
Oh,
show
no.
you a live gray alien. But I'm telling you, I saw that one a few years ago too, and all he's done is colorized one of his plaster mummies that happens to look like a gray.
Oh
Demon.
my gosh.
Demons. That's what's going on here. Demons all the way down. Forget
Yep.
the pancakes. It's demons all the way down.
You mean
know
you
what?
didn't like his alien Barbies?
Here's the thing, man. Those people who are sharing that stuff, they think that
Yeah,
well,
Yeah,
it's
you saw the
getting-
dress up dolls. Yeah, those
Oh, yeah.
were great,
Yeah.
man. Those are great.
they're
We talk
thinking-
about that on tomorrow's
He
show.
must have let his kids play with those because he broke a couple of arms off of that. Arm and leg.
All right. Yeah, that one leg was missing.
Wow.
Got to
They're-
glue them
they're-
back on.
I mean, the Rice Krispie treat stayed together better, but
Yeah, they did. And the churro flavored Rice Krispie treat model that you made, Ron, absolutely great
Oh yeah.
well, Giorgio liked it. That's all. I
and
know.
more believable.
So that was a big
Guys, you all remember to like this video, leave a comment after it goes up in the cycle again. It helps boost out the show.
Oh yeah, for sure. Ask some questions. Tell us
Ask
you
more
liked it,
questions.
you didn't like
And then
it.
what we're going to start doing is some of these lives that will follow up after a heavier episode, like the one we're going to be doing next week. We'll talk about that episode. We'll start off the live engaging about your questions that you might have about that episode. So ask those questions on the video,
So there'll be
and
a
then
quiz
we will
later.
log
That's what he's
those
saying.
questions and go after those as soon as we go live here on Thursday nights at 8 p.m.
Yeah, there'll be a quiz later. So after the episode,
We'll be on the
post your
tape.
questions. Yeah, post your questions, and we'll hit you back in the live that following Thursday. It's gonna be really great. But yes, time travel and all kinds of weird stuff coming at you next week on the actual podcast. So be prepared for that.
Yeah,
This
guys,
week-
you all are awesome.
this
Tony,
week-
thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for spending 3 hours with us tonight here on the show. Everybody out there in listener land, we appreciate each and every one of you guys, especially our super chatters and executive producers.
This week, we will be talking about the cryptids, right? So
Yes.
get your
Right.
questions in there about the cryptids after tomorrow night's show.
Oh,
And
wait.
then next Thursday, we'll be hitting those.
You mind if I plug my book real quick? I forgot.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Plug away.
Can you see it? Ah,
Gray Barker's Book of Monsters.
I
this
like
is
that cover.
actually the proof. That's what has that
Oh, I
line
like the
across it.
cover.
But Gray Barker's Book of Monsters Volume 2 is going to cover the Bluff Creek Bigfoot, the Cadborosaurus, the Domston Blobs, the McGrafton Monster, just so many in here. And of course, my infamous abominable Palmetto Man. So
Right on.
it's a lot of fun stuff. And I actually managed to throw in that electrical ghost too, just for fun.
There you go.
Ooh.
Electrical ghosts. Everybody stay away from the electrical ghosts. That's your PSA for this week.
Yeah, that was no.
And the
they're going
portals.
to be ghosts, but also blow up toasters and chase you across the house with a vacuum. And no thanks, no.
Yeah, no, and no portals. Stay away from
On my
you know,
list, nope, it is. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it.
People come out.
That's
you
how
know,
weird stuff doesn't happen to me. I just say no, sorry,
say
go
no.
away.
Just so you know,
Cat man,
Facebook
hang your hat
user.
over there. Bye.
Facebook user enjoyed the show.
Awesome.
Everybody's saying they're
Facebook
good
user, make sure to
nights.
head over to YouTube and like and subscribe over there.
Hey, wait, did we hit? Let me see if we hit the
Oh,
email
the
number.
chat's blown up. Like it was so hard to keep up with earlier.
Oh, I'm sure of that. I'm just checking. Yeah, we had a rate of 6 at one point when I went over there and looked. It was like, yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, we're at
It dipped every time
1649.
Brandon left.
1,649. We're almost at 1,650. One more sub and we'll have 1,650. That'll be pretty good for us. I
Recovering
know.
from our Miami episode.
Oh,
know,
yeah,
we-
right.
Yeah, we went down in real
So-
time on that Miami episode. That was bad.
So, guys, this show is brought to you by our super chatters. You guys are what keep this show free for eons and eons to come. Our executive producers, Adam Good, L.W. Marshall, Teresa of Teresa Hobbit History of the Tri-State, Larry Hose, Ada Cox, Nancy White, Scott Holbrook, Tommy Swigger, Pat, of course, and the rest of our amazing super chatters, Dewey Edwards, Spooky Appalachia. That's old Jimbo. If you guys haven't liked and subscribed to his page, go ahead and go do that. Spooky Appalachia on YouTube. He produces some good content over there.
Oh,
Guitar Chains Craig, Travis Orednick, Jeffrey Steele, Russ Bailey, Chris Coots, Bigfoot, Littlefoot, Terry Summerfield, Sarah Ramsey, Julie Bug, Finding the Trackway, Donna Ho, and Angie Breeden, Jen Cowler, Jamie Snell, and Ike Fauber. You guys are all amazing. We thank each and
I don't
every
know
one
why
of you all.
Ashley's not on there, but Ashley Hilt's on there as well. I don't know why. I keep forgetting to put her on there.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's
we'll get
up
you
a
thrown
lot.
in there. I'll add you in there,
Yeah.
Ashley.
Is it Ron's fault?
It's probably the alien's fault.
Whatever
Portals,
broke
Demon.
your computer.
Demons.
demons.
It's demons. Remember one thing from this episode: it's all demons, all the way down.
Pat said, "When did I get on there?" Pat, you're on there. Just know you're on there.
I feel like we need to get pancakes all the way down on a t-shirt.
The Pat, you're on there because what what you do behind the scenes that nobody else sees.
Yep.
But guys, we want to thank you all so much for everything you do, all the support that you guys have given us. There we go, Ashley. I got you in there with your show title added. We're gonna throw it back up
there we go.
So you guys are fantastic. Also go over and check out Big Weevy's YouTube channel. It's just under Big Weevy. If you type in his search name there underneath, you can go and subscribe there. He does a lot of different show topics over there too. And you guys, we thank you so much for hanging out with us for 3 hours. Y'all are great. We appreciate you guys. Hope you all stay safe and warm. There is supposed to be a storm of brewing.
Be careful.
And that's hitting all of the East Coast. So I hope you guys are all going to be safe. Y'all, thank you so much for everything you do, all the support, keeping it free. And next week we will have the dates. So you want to be here. You know what dates I'm talking about. We're going to announce them. Be here. You don't want to miss it. I promise. And remember, if you just so happen to be walking and you see a ball of energy with electricity bursting around it, that might be a portal. Don't step into it. You don't know where in time or space you might wind up. Stay wild and weird, everybody.